The worst one really is that you can like the internet issues are annoying, but like I think there is an element of like you can't do anything. But then the April Fool's lobby, I think, was what was like full killing people. Like our game was like going crazy. Like I don't know, like I can explain. I actually figured out why the issues were happening. I also, to be honest, I actually fixed the issues, so I'm gonna flex on that because I even solved your lobby whilst our game was going on. Like I went over to the admins and fixed it for them.
I think like having different styles is okay, but you need to like you cannot be able to play like every single comp and expect to like do really well on it, I think.
Do you think if Toronto grew less trees, they would have won or they would have gotten further?
You know when you get to like 6 beers deep, okay? And what happens is 2 drunk adult men after 6 beers can have an hour-long conversation where it could have took 30 seconds. And what we did was we just had our own like 1 or 2 sentences and just repeated them for an hour. It was over an hour. Like the time went so fast. And I was like, we were talking about like, he's like, yeah, I used to be in Call of Duty, so I think we need more trash talk. And I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that. We need more trash talk. And he goes, yeah, in Call of Duty, we used to trash talk all the time. And I was like, yeah, I think trash talk's really good. And this is like a half an hour conversation. And all we needed to do was say, yeah, I probably agree.
And then, you know, maybe for the broader audience, it's like it kind of cements Lip as like the probable, like, you know, just straight up GOAT in the history of the game, to be honest. Because I think maybe up until this point, like after he'd had like his end to Overwatch League Season 6, people might have thought, you know, he can't be the GOAT. He lost to London. But I think now, like continuing to win international titles, like literally every single year for the entire duration of his career, I feel like it pretty much cements it at that point.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 23 of Uncoachable. And we've actually got an unprecedented back-to-back guest for the first time ever. Last time he was with us, we talked a lot about the many hats he wore throughout his time in Overwatch, but it was one more surprise underneath the hat at Dallas, a ring to propose to his future wife. So congratulations, Crimzo, and welcome back. I want to ask firstly, is that how it happened? Was the ring underneath the hat?
Yeah, I've actually had it under there for 5 years. That's what I was hiding under the hat. Yeah.
So I think the best place for us to start is with the event itself. Obviously, most of this episode will be about the Dallas Major, everything that happened, everything that went wrong for the West. Maybe we've been finally humbled. Probably not. But let's start with the actual event. So we'll start with you, Crimzo. How did you find the event itself from a team's perspective in terms of the setup, the practice area, how it was managed?
I think like besides the delays and shit that happened on like the first day, it was pretty fine. Like honestly, like the practice rooms are really big. Everybody had their own kind of space. There was not really like a problem like a World Cup situation where like, you know, you're separated by curtains or anything like that. So I think like the whole like event was like fine, honestly. Like that was my opinion. So yeah, pretty good, honestly.
Was that the same for you as well, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I think PPAs were actually some of the best they've been because we all got one dedicated room and it was pretty much ours throughout. So like obviously normally when you go to these Overwatch events, you'll get like there's like 4 PPAs. So you'll get like allotted time and then you have to bring your stuff in, set up, and then you get half the day and then the other team is going to come in and steal your stuff and or cancel you because you've been naughty in Discord, you know. And what happened in this one was you just got your own room and you could use it from when it opened to when it finished. And the rooms were massive too. I mean, you don't really need space, but it was kind of nice. So I think the PPAs and stuff, and I think Crimzo's right. I think like minus that, like the delay, which I'm sure we can talk about at some point, like actually, I think the event went pretty smoothly, all things considered. I imagine that everyone who took part in it and like from the organization's point of view will probably be pretty satisfied with how it went.
Did it feel like an Overwatch event? Because obviously it was very much a Dreamhack event and there was a big CS event at the same event. Did the actual area you were in feel like it was truly an Overwatch event or like an Overwatch major?
I thought so. I thought it was pretty cool to be able to like be in like one huge kind of like building with like the other games and stuff playing as well. But like yeah, it felt normal to me. Like it felt like just a normal like I guess like Overwatch like LAN event, even though it wasn't really LAN. But like overall, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it was cool in the hotel. You see some of the CS pros and stuff, and I guess as an Overwatch player, I feel like the CS pros that we like see them maybe as celebrities because we're little teeny tiny Overwatch and they're the big dogs. So you saw like some of them roaming around. You're like, oh, shit, I know who that is. So that was cool. But I think also like feel like none of the games really mix. I feel like CS are too cool for us, you know. That's like the vibe I get. Is like CS wouldn't like dare talk to us. But I think especially once you start to get backstage, like the equipment they use, like the setup, everything is just, it's the same as it's been since season 2 for me, you know. Like I think it's like everything, even like I'm sure it's the same headsets that we use in season 2, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think even like for more scuffed events in Overwatch League, like maybe Hawaii comes to mind. The actual event itself was actually always pretty smooth, I think, from a player and team perspective. So it seems like they've kept all of that. I guess should we talk about, I guess, like the big sort of black mark on this event is the first day and all the delays that happened. I don't know what it was in total, like 2.5, 3 hours, because there was the initial delay right at the start after they did all the walkouts. Then it was another delay when was it a power outage later in the day as well. That delayed, I think, was it your match, Crimzo?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was gonna be us and Falcons who were about to play before all the delays kind of happened. So could talk about like I guess like our team's experience about kind of what went down. Yeah, we were gonna load into the game, and then all of a sudden like it just goes down for like, you know, it goes down, but then it stays down for like like 2 hours or something like that. So like everybody was just kind of like on edge, like really just wanted to play, like get it out of the way, like finally just play. But like by the time we were able to play, like 2 hours later, it felt like everybody, like the nerves kind of like went away. It was just about like going up there and like, you know, finishing the job and then like finishing the game and then just like, you know, getting on with the rest of the day. Because like, you know, the whole day got kind of like fucked up for everybody, where like everybody's schedule just got pushed back so much. So for us, it was pretty annoying to be like the team that was like, you know, on stage supposed to play and have to like wait 2 hours. So yeah, everybody was kind of just restless. I mean, I don't know how everybody else felt, but that's how we felt.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were backstage, so we were playing at the same time, but we were in like the back rooms, so we were. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because one criticism I will give is I felt like, you know, normally when you guys like set up on stage and you're talking in the microphones, it feels like someone's actually listening to you. Do you know what I mean? This time I felt like we were just fucking muted. Maybe it's because there was like 2 like backstage and front stage, so like they were maybe listening to you. But in the warm-up, we were complaining about these like insane latency spikes, and it was just dono walled up until the match started, and then it kept happening, and then obviously the whole thing happened. I mean, I think that there's been enough like esports events at the past where when the internet is fucked, like this is never a fucking 5-minute fix, never, ever, 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 ever. So the second I saw it was like an internet issue, I even said to the guys, I said, listen, this is like a 4 or 5 hour delay. Like this is the one that takes like ages to get fixed. Whereas maybe for like students of the game or NRG Shock, they were like a little bit more like raw. So they were like, every time Blizzard would come back and say, oh, we probably expect it to be done in half an hour. I'm like, yeah, it'll be half an hour. Like, no worries about that. Like, that'll definitely happen. Like, because it's so fucking obvious that this is like, they need to call up the internet provider, get it reset. Like, there's so much shit that they have to go through. But yeah, like, I think by the end, I think maybe we weren't as nervous because our game wasn't like the pressure one, you know? So we were just like rolling with it. And then the series itself was like incredibly quick once we figured out how to do the lobby.
Yeah, I can't even think which is like worse, to be the team that like is playing a match where like you just kind of like get a shit on the other team, or like to be the team that is like, you know, in a super competitive match. Like which team gets affected more by like such long delays? I'm not even sure, to be honest, because I feel like if I was a team that was like playing against a shitty team and like 2 hours like later, it'd be so annoying because it's like you just get the match over with so you can go on with the rest of your day.
Did you feel
that?
I mean,
at least like with.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, at least with one of the situations, you know, like you're still going to shit on students of the game at the end of it, or on NRG at the end of it, right? Whereas like if it's a close game, you know, like you get all sorts of like cope pathways of like, oh shit, you know, maybe we would have won if I didn't lose my warmth in 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah, the cope possibility is very strong.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about potential American losses here too, so coping just goes up and up and up in that regard.
The base level was pretty high to begin with.
Do you know if these issues were they like exclusive to where they were hosting the Overwatch, or were they affecting the other games in other rooms as well? Like, did people go for a wander and find out?
I think someone told me it was other games too. Like, someone told me that like, I think CS was immune to it. I guess maybe CS have got.
They're probably capable of playing on LAN or something like that.
Yeah, I already had that.
That's it. Yeah,
I had the CS stream open. I had the CS stream open the whole time. It was probably like other games, like shitty games like FIFA or some shit like that, but. Yeah,
Always online games where they don't want you to.
Got fucked too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know, you take what you can get, I suppose. I have it on good authority that it was entirely Jay's3's fault as well.
It was, yeah. It was.
Yeah. You had
originally people were saying
Uncoachable
flats. It's so fucking
exclusive.
funny. Some people, like, my players were saying to me, apparently flats leaked the IP. It's like, flats isn't even there, dude. Like, there's no... fucking flat.
Amazing.
Did it affect, because obviously you had to play later in the day as well, Crimzo. Did it affect then? Because it certainly felt like, at least visibly on screen, it felt like Massa had had enough by the end of that first day.
Oh my god. Yeah, Massa had had enough. Like, I think the whole team was like super stressed and like still jet lagged and just wanted to like be done with like the games and everything. So yeah, by the end, like Massa was like turning into the Joker, like 100%. Like he was just he was literally transforming in front of our eyes. He had had enough, and we just wanted to like be done, like get dinner, and then just go to bed and come back for the next day.
The worst one really is that you can, like, the internet issues are annoying, but like I think there was an element of like you can't do anything. But then the April Fool's lobby, I think, was what was like full of killing people. Like our game was like going crazy. Like I don't know, like I can explain. I actually figured out why the issues were happening. I also, to be honest, I actually fixed the issues, so I'm gonna flex on that because I even solved your lobby whilst our game was going on. Like I went over to the admins and fixed it for them. But it was like we kept on just getting it. Every game was just fucking April Fool's setting, and like our entire team is just like spamming at the admins, like probably in not like the best way, like, well, we just let Chris host the lobby because it's not LAN, right? So it's like different. And then, dude, it was so tilting. Like 1 minute into Midtown attack, we've made the rotation, we've got onto the point, and then they call pause. And it's like, yeah, by the way, we're on fucking April Fools again, you know? And after 3 hours of delays, there was still like more to come.
Do you know who was hosting the lobbies? Do you have a name?
Okay, so here's what I originally thought. I originally thought what had happened was FACEIT had hired someone else to host the lobbies, like someone new that didn't understand Overwatch, and it was just like a massive like client situation. Like one of those 6-year-old children in Saudi Arabia or whatever. Like that's what I thought. Yeah.
But they got that guy back.
I don't. Do you know Miwe, who worked in the Overwatch League?
No, it wasn't.
No, it is. Okay. But I'm coming to the fence because originally it was more kind of, okay. So look, I'm going to post a screenshot in the thing. You can bring it up, X. Like this is ended up like what's happened, okay? So you see how whenever you like host a custom game lobby, you've got like 2 escorts, 2 flashpoints, 2 hybrids. Basically,
is one the April Fool's one?
Yes. One of them is the April Fool's. Do you like gambling? Okay? But there is no way to tell which is which. Okay. So what happens is Blizzard pay somebody to make a code where it's competitive settings, but you can still get the stats like in the background where it doesn't affect it, right? So someone made the codes, and whoever made this code for Blizzard on Tournament A highlighted some of the wrong ones. So if you selected a hybrid map, it went to April Fool's settings, but there is no way to actually like see this in the mode. It doesn't say in the top right, April Fool's. It just says like competitive settings on, thumbs up. So what ended up happening after like 3 attempts was we keep on going to April Fool's. Originally, I'm like, these guys are fucking clients. Like, it must be more simple. So I got so sick of telling them I'll host the lobby and no one planned. I just said, fuck it. I just went backstage. I was like, okay, like they're probably not going to fine me for just going backstage. And we started like theory crafting it. And what I realized happens after I watched them make the 4th lobby and it be wrong was actually like, it was one of these, like, the way that one of the guys was doing it was a little bit weird. Like he was like unticking everything, but actually if you like, the thing is, to be fair to these guys, I make Overwatch lobbies like 6 hours a day, whereas like for them, like they do it like only in tournaments. So it's like you kind of like have to. It's not complicated, but you kind of have to like know what you're doing. But it was like I realized that actually when like if you just like what they need to do is just do competitive settings and just fucking leave it and not touch anything. But they kept on like losing the RNG battle, and there was no way to know. So by the time eventually we fixed it, it was okay, and there was no problems with the rest of the issue. But this was it. Like whoever made the codes totally fucked the Blizzard admins because they're like. To be fair to Blizzard, or to be the opposite of fair to like the game developers, it should say somewhere that it's fucking April Fool's, but it literally looks the same mode. Like every single setting is the same. So when they go in, they think it's a bug with the code, whereas it's like it kind of is, but actually it's just click the one on the left instead of the one on the right. You know, like even here you see how the like on hybrids, if you go back on the image, the right hybrid is the right one, and then the left one is the one that's off. But that's really, really annoying because on all the others it's the left. So like somewhere at Blizzard, this April Fool's is like fucked with everyone's brain, you know?
Or something quite poetic about it being an April Fool's bug as well, and then it's just it's kind of like really hard to solve. You got pranked.
Whoever it was that made it was laughing so fucking hard. It's not even April.
So yeah, and to be fair, once the internet issues were fixed, once the lobby issues had been solved, everything else was smooth, right? I think the only other delay we had was the grand final itself when Proper's PC needed to be changed. But that's just kind of, I think that just happens, you know?
Yeah.
So then the other thing that was in question as well, I feel like this has actually been true for ages, but I just don't know if it's something that's not been as public. But people were talking a lot about the LAN client and how everyone always calls it LAN because everyone's there, but we're not actually playing on LAN. Like everyone's actually on 50 or so ping. But that's, I'm pretty sure it's actually been true in Overwatch League as well, like true most of the time.
No, I think you're wrong. No? I think every single time it was actually LAN, Overwatch has always had a LAN client. So obviously when we played online, there was no LAN client because we were playing online. But I'm sure when we went to playoffs in like season 5 and season 6, I'm sure it was on a LAN client. Am I wrong?
I'm not sure actually. Sorry, Crimzo.
I can't remember what the stage setups were, but
Hawaii clearly wasn't LAN because we had to like play with the Korean teams. But
did we not use the esports client every time though, even on LAN?
I'm sure even World Cup was LAN.
No,
every LAN I've been to has been actual LAN.
Okay then.
Yeah. I think this was the first time I've seen it where everybody was in person and it wasn't a LAN client.
World Cup was definitely online, right? Like
online?
I mean, I don't know about the top 8 games, but the games in the PPAs were all 100% online.
Oh.
Ones we just played before
you
we
would,
went to
you
the
would
main
know
event.
you would know if you're using the LAN client. It's a massive pain in the ass. It takes like you have to do all the like connecting to their silly VPN thing in order to like
the same interface you use for like when we play games online.
It's exactly. It's the same sort of interface
League.
as what you would use for Overwatch League. Like it was very I don't know.
No, in history, when it's a LAN client, there's no connecting to VPNs and stuff. Like at playoffs in season 5 and 6.
We still use the interface we used to the interface for players used to connect when we went to playoffs was still the same. Like the thing they used on stage, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Really?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it was just like the pods. You just picked a particular pod.
But like I'm sure it was just select the pod and go in, but
yeah. I'm pretty sure that I don't remember them rolling out the LAN client very much. I'm pretty sure they like stopped supporting the LAN client. You know, it was something that like took a lot of effort for them to maintain or to keep it working or something. I feel like they would always make a big deal about it, you know? Like they would have little regional event finals and they wouldn't roll out the LAN client for it and they'd be like, they couldn't be bothered. They need to get a particular technician out to make it work or something. This is years ago that I remember hearing them say this.
But either way, I don't know. I guess maybe it's my bad memory, but I kind of, especially when they brought back OPR, I thought, fuck, we're actually getting a LAN client again. I thought, all right, it's like actually the days are back. And then we got
heard it here first. Uncoachable has no fucking clue. Like genuinely, no fucking clue.
Presumably to our viewers, this isn't new information. Presumably this is.
If you're a first-time viewer, welcome. This is what it's normally like. If you've been here a while, you know the deal. The quiz at the end is which Overwatch League LANs were actually on LAN client, and it's all going to be wrong.
But yeah, I was kind of expecting this one to be on LAN. I guess maybe it was my naivety, but it was like, I think it was like 40 ping we were on, right? Which,
I think so.
Yeah, which kind of feels weird.
That's rubbish.
Yeah.
You fly everyone, internationally to play on 40 ping in Dallas. I fucking love that. Yeah?
Well, a lot of this is also very much a developer problem more than like Dreamhack or the Overwatch esports event. Like, if you want to assign blame, like a lot of the internet issues probably sit in the Dreamhack side of things because it's all infrastructure and the venue based. These ones are very much developer based. Like a lot of other games, like Counter-Strike, anyone can host a LAN. You can just host a LAN and you'll be able to set up a LAN client. You don't need a special technician or to fly anyone out for it. It's just a lot more accessible.
Yeah. I will say too, like everything that like isn't developed, like the actual like the Trevor and the production could do. I felt like it was super, like Trevor's army. I feel like it's like actually I was super impressed with it. I feel like they were like way more reactive to feedback than ever before. Like there was one time where like I don't know if you guys feel this too, but I fucking hate how early they make us go for games. Like, I fucking hate how our game is an hour before and they make us like, you have to leave the PPA. And I wrote and I was like, oh, I feel like this is like unnecessary, you know? Like every single time we do it, there's like a 20-minute just like sitting around waiting, which I think the players fucking hate because that's when like all of like the angst and the nerves come in. And he was like, okay, I see your point. And then he gave us like an extra 10 minutes and said, oh, we'll look at it for your future. And there's like a few other things where there was like little bits of feedback. I think Gator said something similar on Plat Chat. And it's like, it feels like our like feedback when it comes to like the day-to-day operations are super listened to in this current format. Like almost immediately, like, yes, we'll look into it for next time or something, you know? Which I think has definitely not always been the case in the past because unfortunately Discord was fucking muted.
Yeah, I mean, I think even on the Overwatch League side, you know, like if you befriended an admin, you know, you could have a little bit of input or something. But at the end of the day, you'd always hit like the Sean Miller wall, you know. You just need to deal with someone that's like, unfortunately, you're going to have to consult the rule book that your organization signed 17 years ago. And you can see here that in the 13th clause, it actually says that the team that won more is going to rank lower in the seedings. So we're just going to have to move along with this as is. Like, this is set in stone. And it feels like there's at least a little bit more flex on that, but maybe that's just for like, you know, on the ground, on the day operations.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people's circuit points are still fucking lost to the ether. So you can't escape Sean Miller's influence at some point.
God bless.
Did you see him at the LAN?
Of course, dude. Of course he was there.
Yeah, was he incognito, collar up, baseball cap, sunglasses?
I had like Trev and Bryce and the producers, legends. Everyone like above them, like the establishment, like they didn't even look at me, you know, like there was no I don't know why. Maybe it's my fucking ego, but I kind of expected in like this like absolute.
Oh, you needed them to bow down at your feet?
No, like
a kiss for ring type situation.
I expected someone to say hello or something, but it was very much business as usual.
Who was before Sean Miller?
Nate Nancer, or was he?
No, it wasn't Nate. It was John Spector. John Spector.
Yeah.
Have I ever talked about on the podcast how like when Atlanta went to playoffs for the 2021 season, how Spector was like coming around to all the PPAs, and it's like he went around to like the Gladiators PPA and he was just fucking glazing and doing tricks on it. And then he goes around to the Shock PPA and he's like legit just like sitting in the Shock PPA, like fanboying over the team for ages, like spending all this time with the SF Shock and being like, oh, how you guys doing? How's everything? Like just literally doing tricks on it for an hour. And then he comes through the Atlanta Rain room and we've been just fucking kicking off with him all year because we've gone to all the Hawaiis and all that and we complain every time. He pokes his head in the room of the Atlanta Rain guys. He's like, oh, hi, and leaves. Unbelievable. the bias is out of this world. It's like the league was actually so fucked. It's like the SF Shock would get told the patch notes before the patches came out. Like they were talking to people on the Shock about like, yeah, this is a good idea. Like we're probably going to do this next patch. Meanwhile, poor old Atlanta Rain is getting fucked on their flights. They got no idea what's coming in the next patch. Gator's going to have to play ball or something. And then at the end of it all, you know, you attend every LAN event for the whole year. You're a mainstay in the tournament. And John Spector pokes in his head. That's it. Yes.
So I felt for us, like I think our team, not just me, like the whole team, I don't think anyone like really like from like the higher ups ever like said hello. I think even like I've got like me and Mr. X. Okay, we're now best friends, by the way. Like we've solved all of the fucking differences between me and Mr. X. But like even like the establishment, I feel like still like a slight like divide between like the players and like the casters and like all the like Blizzard producers. It doesn't feel like in season 2 everything used to be so fucking tight. We used to go out with them all the time. But I think these days it's like even at the after party there was like the pro player table and then there was like the Blizzard table, but they were like apart from me and Mr. X trying to like mend the gap. You're
trying to bridge the gap with Mr. X.
No, honestly,
even Romeo and Juliet of this story.
Yeah, honestly, Crimzo, you were there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys do. I don't know if women do this or if it's just like a man thing, but you know when you get to like 6 beers deep, okay? And what happens is 2 drunk adult men after 6 beers can have an hour-long conversation where it could have took 30 seconds. And what we did was we just had our own like 1 or 2 sentences and just repeated them for an hour. It was over an hour. Like the time went so fucking fast. And I was like, we were talking about like, he's like, yeah, I used to be in Call of Duty, so I think we need more trash talk. And I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that we need more trash talk. And he goes, yeah, in Call of Duty we used to trash talk all the time. And I was like, yeah, I think trash talk's really good. And this is like a half an hour conversation, and all we needed to do was say, yeah, I probably agree. And then the second topic, I don't know, I felt there was this part of me somewhere I was like, you know, if I'm going to shit talk the establishment, I need to do it to their faces too. That's what I felt. So I said to him, I was like, you know, we've been shit talking you on the podcast. And I don't know why. It was like such an unnecessary time to bring it up. I'm going to fucking tell him, okay? Because that's what a real man does in this
The
situation.
bridge had just mended itself, and then Chris turns up with one more petrol bomb. Like, let's see.
Yeah. He took it well though, and he was like, I was like, I mean, it was the same thing. It was like his soundbite was like, yeah, you know, like I think we don't cater to the pro audience. Like I think I do a good job. I feel like I make it fun and understandable for the casuals, and then I do my soundbite, which is I don't know, something like, yeah, I just feel like the establishment needs to do like better at this and this, and then he would repeat his soundbite and me, and this was like another hour gone, and then we went to the toilet together. I mean.
Wait,
I don't know why. Yeah. I was like, I mean, it just happens to go to the toilet at a similar time. There was no and then we just went our separate ways.
Do you want to come to the toilet with me?
That was it.
That's actually crazy because I remember taking a piss with Morello in Toronto as well. It's weird. It's like we both have like core memories of like, yeah, that's odd.
That's it. And then once
really
we left
weird.
the bathroom, I never saw him again for the rest of the trip, you know. But he took it well. He just kept on saying basically like, I don't care, you know. So I don't think I actually mended anything. I think we were too far gone to really like solve any problems. He did tell me he told me this. He says, if you ever want to double Uncoachable's viewership, get me on the pod. So we can hold him to that. We'll see if Mr. X is he
promised
big
double.
enough draw. That's what he said. He says
That's an unbelievable call from him. Like,
I mean, that's what
he must really view himself as like the face of Overwatch if he reckons that his face can double our viewership. Like shit, we've got to test this.
Yeah, we got to bring
He
him
might have
on.
been under the influence as well. So
we were both fucked at this stage. Also, I think this is the opportunity. We have to shout out Danny. Danny, if you're watching, I know you are. Hero. Danny spent an outrageous amount of money on beers for the boys at the after party. He was Uber Eatsing like just crates of beers, and for whatever reason, the hotel bar, as long as you sit outside, they're not gonna tell you to not. So like there was like 50 of us drinking, and only 10% of the alcohol being consumed actually was bought from the bar, but we were taking it all up. But it was a good night. So shout out Danny, shout out Mr. X. Yeah, it was a cheeky after party.
Often, like you've got young players, maybe you don't have so much of that anymore. I used to play with kids, but I think it can be really useful to have a coach. Oh fuck!
Yeah. You grew out of it, guys. You grew out of it.
You know, you're the most cancelable thing you've said.
Yeah, no, that's got to be it, right? Yeah, no, I mean, I used to be on a team where it was like fucking. I think we had a 15-year. Adam was 15 when I was playing on that roster. Like Adam was fucking young, and like. We had like another dude that was like 16, another dude that was 17. Yeah, no, stop fist pumping. So then we had like heaps of the fucking like stop. I can see the producer's written something now. Yeah. So because of all the children on my roster, it was definitely useful to have an adult that they could message. To, you know, get
talk their feelings through.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because they were like accruing trauma throughout the practice day or whatever, and they needed an adult to vent that to. So I think that it can be useful to have a coach, even if it's not like from the strategic standpoint.
In general, I think the vibe from the community, from Reddit and social media, is that the event was a success. There was that viewership article that was published that seemed to compare it to mid-season. And the prize pool ended up at, I think it was a $250,000, if they said, or $250,000 total prize pool.
Yeah. Oh, it went up 50K?
Up 50K.
Yeah. Some of like, I think...
Hanzo?
Like, no, okay. Yeah. The extra 50K was Hanzo. But 150 of this was guaranteed by Blizzard in the end, right?
Oh, wow. The Hanzo skin really did raise fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I'm sure. Am I right? Do you guys know? I'm sure that's what someone said. Blizzard did 150 guaranteed, and then the 100K was like the Hanzo skin.
But why couldn't they have like announced that earlier? So I don't understand. Like the prize pool, like Blizzard's share of it.
I think I know why, but you go ahead. I know exactly why.
I was going to say, because they said for number 200K, but that was like, they said it at the start of the broadcast, and they just kind of said it, you know, it wasn't like a big, here's the post, here's the announcement, we'll put it on Twitter or everything. It was just like, they just mentioned it's going to be 200k, so it was just like it ended up almost being like word of mouth and at the prize pool spread rather than like a big announcement or anything.
Yeah. I think, I don't know where it came out. Maybe it's also misinformation. It wouldn't be the first time, but that's not going to stop me. Fuck you, J3, for leaking the IP.
Unbelievable, J3.
I think, here's what I think happened is if the Hanzo skin had fucking popped off, Blizzard weren't going to guarantee shit. But once they realized that the prize pool was only giving you 50k, Blizzard had to step in and do 150k and then like let the Hanzo skin go on top, you know? Because I think,
and
like,
that's why it wasn't announced.
If they announced before, we're going to do 150k plus the skin. If the skin popped off, it would have been an insane prize pool. But Blizzard would have loved to take that 150k back, I'm guessing. So that would be my guess.
Yeah, I feel like that's where everyone sensible's money would be, you know? Yeah. They were just hoping that they could earn away their guarantee.
Yeah.
But keep it on the low so they can do better with it, you know?
But overall, I think you're right. I think most people consider this a success. I don't know how you felt at the event, Crimzo, but I felt a little bit that like Overwatch was kind of like it found its lane. Do you know what I mean? Like there was like this big event. CSGO was the main thing, but then you had like a Fortnite stage, a FIFA stage, and we just had that Overwatch corner. And we didn't have like an insane like thing, but we sold out all of the tickets, especially on finals day. There was like tons of people there. Everybody who was there really liked Overwatch, and it felt like a good thing. And it felt like we were no longer like held to these like standards of each team has spent $35 million on an insane super team to get here. It was like, yeah, we're just an esport now. We're just Rainbow Six, we're like Fortnite, whatever it is. We're not attempting to be is the Overwatch League of success. And part of me just felt like we were like, this was like the size and the viewership numbers and the prize pool. This is more where Overwatch should be and maybe should have always been. And I think like that, I don't know. That's why I feel like it feels more positive than in before. Because even if you had a good event in Overwatch League, it was always effectively a failure because the standards to be success were so fucking high.
It was aiming to be tier 1, right? When everyone's spending that money, it's like the orgs are spending the money they would spend for like a tier 1 esport, but the viewership and everything doesn't match that. Whereas now there's much less investment, but it at least seems a little bit more in line with whatever, like the industry standard.
Yeah.
Fuck proportionality, bro. I want more money. Like, oh my god!
Well, I've got good news for you. The Esports World Cup is around the corner.
Yes,
that's fuck all money too.
Well, it's 4 times as much as this one.
That's the most we're gonna get.
Plus, you might qualify for that one too, Max.
Yeah, no. You know what? Maybe the O's contenders team, they'll take it away. You know, they'll
I think so.
sneak in a cheeky little first place at the EWC. You know?
Why not?
I can actually think of many reasons why not. But
no, you've got it. Don't doubt yourself. I can't see anything going wrong for you.
No, you convinced me.
Yeah. Full of hope again.
We're back.
And then, because this is, it's kind of inevitable now, it's always compared to Overwatch League, because this is what the viewership was compared to, right? And it was actually equal to mid-season madness, which seems kind of crazy on paper, right? In comparison to probably what the respective investment in both events were.
No, I think this is mega kappa, bro. Like Mid-Season Madness was broadcast at the most fucking dog shit times in the universe, and it was on YouTube. Yeah. So like this stat is like so, it's just rubbish, bro. Like if you compared it to MSM, even for the previous year, for like season 5, it would have been like blown out of the water by the Overwatch League viewership, because the MSM viewership was like an insane failure for season 6, because it was like this terrible time slot, career catering, and YouTube exclusive. But I mean, Overwatch League was YouTube exclusive for the longest of times.
Yeah, I mean, I think like this is I think the reason everybody like was saying we need to go to Twitch, was because they wanted the bigger number. But I think if it was like 125k on Twitch for free or 80k on YouTube with that like 2 million fucking a year deal coming in, I think the YouTube deal seems it was clearly better, right? Like there's like some fucking at least some money, you know, like those extra 50k concurrents don't erase the exclusivity deal that YouTube paid. But I think overall, I think for like I said, for an esport of our size, I don't think 125k concurrent is terrible. Like I don't know which games, like I don't know if like Rocket League, Rainbow Six, these type of games like beat that on their like majors.
I think as
I mean,
With-
I think.
Go on.
Sorry, I think there's also like an element of like excitement as well because it's like the first. Pretty sure it's the first international event of like the year as well. So people want to see like, oh, how does NA stack up? How does Korea stack up and all that stuff? So I mean, I just think that format is also just like so much more fun. Like to be able to like go in from like a regional to like an international stage, and it just brings like a lot more excitement as well. So that people are like really interested to see kind of like what happens.
I think as well with all the viewership thing, even though big number equals better, the idea of big number equals better is because if you have more viewers, you're more likely to get sponsors. So you don't directly get more money from having more viewers. You need it to translate into sponsors. But actually, there was a sponsor. Porsche came in, sponsored. Did they sponsor the entire tournament or just the MVP? I don't know the.
I think it was the whole
were fucking
tournament.
everywhere, dude. They were
Yeah.
everywhere.
Just the most random partnership, but I guess they were sponsoring everybody. We got, I think all the staff and like players got like some like
Porsche?
like just random stuff. Not a Porsche.
Oh.
We got like a miniature. Wait,
Porsche.
maybe I can show it here. Actually,
I
like
got it.
we got like a miniature little like
Oh
car.
wow, that's
Yeah,
nice
I got
actually.
mine.
Gave
I
us-
got a. You got
Yeah.
what have you got?
Yeah, a
Mate?
little
You got the
car.
same one? I got
I got the same one.
Nice, dude.
And then
Also,
we got
what
like
we got?
I got like a
Medal?
little medal as well. Yeah,
Medal.
yeah.
What the? No, that's better than anything they ever gave us in
that-
actual
yeah.
Overwatch. I can't lie,
That's
a
really
hundred-
nice.
I ain't got a single goddamn memento. Second place Overwatch League, mid-season madness win, fucking kickoff clash win. I got nothing. Actually, nothing to show for it. I got fucking. I didn't even get no prize money. Like fucking hell, this guy's showing up with medals, a little Porsche in a box. God damn, like that shit that would go in the closet and I'd never see it again. But you know what? Like fuck it. At least I've got something to fill the closet with. Other than
No, I agree. I think the medal is the best thing I've ever got from all of these Overwatch things because I think it's like the type of thing that like
can you bite it? Like do the Majed thing.
Or is it real?
It's not
Yeah.
even. No, it's solid. It's not like a cheap
Yeah,
thing.
solid.
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
it actually looks way better.
No,
than
it is.
The World
It's
Cup
like
one,
actually
too.
like kind of cool, you know. And I think
Yeah,
like stuff like
'cause-
this is really good.
Yeah, they gave it to the
Because
European teams.
I seen the World Cup medals, like for the first place, Majed just couldn't stop bringing it around fucking everywhere he went for the Saudi E-League shit. And that thing actually looked like the cheapest, tackiest little piece of plastic rubbish in the world. So that thing looks like that belongs between someone's
I mean,
teeth.
it even comes
Being
in like a
tested.
little box so you can like hold it.
Oh,
like
put it on
this if you want.
display.
Yeah. It's quite
That's
cool.
a great little thing.
I don't know. I think they should do that for all events. I think stuff like this is really, really nice because like to collect them, it is quite cool.
Are they
the esports
participation
World
medals?
Cup-
Like if Crimmers has one,
They literally
what?
even fucking NRG got one. It's
you
genuinely
get a participation medal.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the
Yeah, I
woke,
think-
dude.
I
Like,
think
how is it
everybody
not
got
like a top 3 thing or something? Like,
I mean, this is Overwatch, right? Like for sure we need participation medals. That's basically the tagline of Overwatch.
Did you see? Oh, I can't find. I don't know where the tweet is. Did you see that tweet about the letters? Did you all get them like letters to the players?
Yeah.
Oh, I got mine too. Yeah.
Except Landon didn't get one. I think.
Landon got no letter.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does anyone remember the tweet about the ones they sent to like? It was like to Lubda and Quartz, obviously, but they didn't get their
Didn't make
letters
it.
directly. But it was just looked like the most chat GPT written letter
Oh,
you've
I
ever
was just
seen.
Yeah,
saying-
it was like
Yeah,
it's like a thank you for your service letter or some shit. Like that's what it felt like.
They just
Hold on, I
kept
got mine
saying,
here.
"Thank you, Quartz. Thank you, Lubda. Your unwavering dedication to the game and
Yeah.
all of this."
I mean, we
yeah.
had like.
Yeah, this
legal
is my-
hours.
This is my paper.
is it a copy paste job? Is it the same for everyone?
Yeah,
No,
it was.
so
It
every
was for
team
the
is
ENCE
different,
guys.
right?
It was for
Like,
the
my
ENCE guys.
team-
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone on the team because it was like saying like it keeps on like mentioning like London and like we spit fire and stuff, but it's like fucking Psycho was never on London, but his still says you've been spitting fire or something, you know.
Yeah.
But it was.
Gonna frame it.
I think stuff like this is good. I think, yeah, I really like the medal. I was medal build.
How do you have all of that stuff in your wardrobe in Dallas, by the way?
Wait, what do you mean?
You said like a week ago that you were still in Dallas. I feel like someone asked that question. You said yes, but you just got
yeah.
all that stuff like well equipped.
Yeah, I mean,
well.
I came to land prepared, you know.
Swing and a miss, it can happen.
No, I remember. I know the joke. It just took me a
It's
while.
gone, man. Yeah,
It is.
no.
I mean, we can bring it back. Say it again.
Producer, cut that.
Edit,
Like,
cut.
What the viewers don't know is these recordings are normally actually like 8 hours and we just cut it down to the best 3. Really have to go digging for a lot of the good material here.
Yeah. No one's allowed to leave until the editor says it's all good.
Are you going to take your Porsche
editor
out of
is
the
not here
box?
today.
Are you keeping your Porsche in the box or out the box, Crimzo?
Mine's just in the box. I mean, I took out like the Oh, you mean like? Oh, you mean that
box?
box? Now. Yeah, that's what I meant. It's like in the little glass thing. That's it.
I mean, it says this is not a toy, but I feel like that can't stop.
Nah, it's definitely a toy.
So I don't know how you're feeling, Hunter, but all of them showing their merch, showing their stuff, starting to feel a little bit left out, maybe perhaps. And
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't feel too much FOMO about the little portion of the box, because I mean, I think the idea of that stuff is cool, like getting a medal to show for it or whatever, just a little bit of memorabilia. That's nice. But at the same time, I know deep down that shit is just going in my wardrobe, never to be removed ever again. Like I just put that shit away. I would never display it anywhere. But I had like massive FOMO from the event. Like I was looking at Twitter and like Instagram and stuff over the course of the event, and I actually just wanted to like blow my head off. Like it was unbelievable. It did not feel good at all.
It's when, maybe it wasn't until Sunday, but when people started posting photos, because there's a bit when they're just on stage and it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's just mainly the game happening. But when people started posting photos and you see like everyone interacting, it's kind of like, oh yeah. Yeah, no,
it's like as soon as I started seeing like Polaroids of like all the old Atlanta players and all the London boys just like fucking hanging out after the matches, and it was like, oh wow, I really do wish I was there right now, huh? When I saw like the first day where it's just like, a 17-hour pause bonanza and then a Kai rolls out on tour, it's like I'm actually like super happy to be at home. This isn't a big deal at all. And then it gets towards the end of the event, it was like, I really should have qualified for that.
Should we move on to the actual Overwatch of the event? The actual back and forth. So I know one thing Chris always likes to do post-events is the biggest winners and the biggest losers of the event. So should we start on a rare positive start? The biggest winners of the event, just clearly Crazy Raccoon, right? Came in as favourites, won all their games, felt like deserved winners.
The ones that mattered.
I think it's a nice win, because it's like I want Shu to win desperately all the time, because he's just like the fucking greatest player in the universe and a really, really good teammate. And then, maybe for the broader audience, it's like it kind of cements Lip as like the probable, like, just straight up GOAT in the history of the game, to be honest. Because I think maybe up until this point, like after he'd had like his shitty end to Overwatch League Season 6, people might have thought, he can't be the GOAT. He lost to London. But I think now, like continuing to win international titles, like literally every single year for the entire duration of his career, I feel like it pretty much cements it at that point. And not to like immediately derail the conversation or whatever, I can't remember if I talked in the Q&A about this or with you guys, but I think that the reason that like Lip's GOAT status is so like completely undisputed is because like, maybe Violet had a case for it results wise, but a lot of people, have reported that Violet is probably an extremely toxic player and like a difficult person to be on a team with. Whereas in the case of Lip, the idea of proper being the GOAT is just Kappa, like try to win something after Season 1 if you want to be the greatest of all time. But with Lip, he's just known as a really, really good teammate as well. So like when you're that high in terms of skill and like you're an absolute dominator in your role for like the entire duration of your career, but then also everyone wants to play with you all the time, not just for your skill, but because you're actually a good person too. That's like the true alignment of every value associated with winning. So I feel like there's just no doubt that guy is the greatest at this point.
Yeah, that team is actually like so well put together. I feel like they have like Lip and Shu who are just like pretty much like the GOATs at their roles, and then you have like a bunch of like younger, like up and coming, like the Korean boys that are like it feels like they're like the ones that are going to be like the top dogs, very soon, if not already. But then also like on top of like the fact that they won Dallas, like the way that they won was so fucking, it was sick, right? They fucking won with like Roadhog, they won with like ball comps and shit like that. Like they're actually just like such a fun team to like cheer for. I think like I'm glad that they won, honestly.
I bet it feels good for them too, because I guess like the timeline of how it went was like when like this Falcons super team was being put together, that was like the A team, and like they were all the first choice players in the world. And then I guess like there was a part of like Shu was like, fuck, I really didn't get like the Falcons offer, and Lip, he was like, oh really, they wanted Stalker and Proper over me. And I feel like that's one of those things that probably feels really good to be like kind of like missed from the like original like big money super team. And then
was that actually how it happened, like the way you're describing it there? Because I mean, the roster existed before. I know Fearless got changed out. Like Fearless got changed out for Smurf. But I guess those teams had already formed.
I guess the argument was that when Falcons came in with their money, if they'd said we want to get Lip would have joined. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if Falcons had wanted to like participate more in the roster build and like change things around more, like break up people like Proper Stalker, Feel the Chio, etc.
Yeah.
It's just like I think those guys were just kind of like happy to appeal to, you know, history, like the Feel the Chio duo, like that's going to stick together forever. You know, like they want to play together, probably perma, and then Proper Stalker, I guess, you know, I'm not really sure like how that comes to be compared to like Proper Lip or something like that. But yeah.
But like I think even if like even that, like I just feel like I can imagine if I was on Crazy Raccoons, I would have had like a slight chip on my shoulder because they were clearly everyone thought like Falcons was the best, make the most money, and I would have that like let's fuck them up type beat, and I bet that like feels good, you know.
Yeah, it probably feels really good to know that they're getting paid more to lose, but then you think about that a little more and it's like, wait, these guys are getting paid more. Fuck. It's like I won and I got more prize money, but then I add up the salaries versus the prize money and it's like, oh shit, Falcons are still winning. Like,
yeah,
we cannot beat these motherfuckers even when we beat them. Like,
huge redemption as well for Jumbin and Hisang, and to Max as well, from like coming from that Shock roster to then joining this roster and maybe finally fulfilling all the supposed promise they were meant to have coming from contenders, beating Proper as well and all of this. And obviously Jumbin MVP. And if it wasn't going to be Jumbin MVP, it was probably going to be Hisang, right? Like they were both pretty much top on their team or up there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like, I think it's like, it goes to show like how like much like a good or a bad team atmosphere. And maybe this like totally goes against like it goes with what you were saying about Proper and stuff, Max, where it's like, I mean, I remember when we were all putting like, at least I was putting Shock as like they were clearly going to win last season. Like their roster was like insanely fucking stacked that it was like so obvious they were going to win. And then all my teammates were calling me clients because like these players aren't that good. I feel like at least now it's like, actually, no, these players are like insane. They just, I don't know. If you don't have a confident or a friendly or like the right team environment, then really good players can look really shit. But like to me, Jumbin looks by far the best tank in the world right now. Like comfortably better. Like his Mauga, I think, was better than both of like Smurf and Falcons, and obviously all of his dive tanks look incredible. So yeah, I agree. I think like that team's a little bit easier to root for than Falcons in a way. And obviously, if it wasn't a Western team, I'm glad it was them.
Yeah. Did we cover this topic in the Q&A or something? I feel like all the thoughts I'm having right now related to this, I feel like I've like said them before, but I just can't remember where it came out.
Yeah, in the Q&A we spoke about it. You should watch that on Patreon, by the way.
We answered the question in the Q&A about whether Krusty was a fraud or not. So if you want to know the answer to that, sub on Patreon, watch the Q&A, and we'll tell you.
Yeah. Or we'll just talk about it here and scam the fuck out of those Patreon Q&A.
Even worse.
It's such a good topic. Like we might have to make this public.
So I think that was the easy one, right? Maybe, but then if I was thinking other biggest winners from the event, I don't know if it gets a little bit patchy then, like who really had big success. I don't know if, Crimzo, would you regard ENCE as a winner from this event in terms of like the event went well or like above expectations? Or
I think for us specifically, I wouldn't call it like a massive win. I mean, I wouldn't call it like a loss either, honestly. I guess like the only other people that like won, I guess would be Europe, like just the region itself, to be able to, I mean, you know, SSG beat M80, we beat Toronto, and then we like fought it out, and then obviously ENCE lost. But I guess, you know, just in general, I think the European region is just came out on top. I think for us, yeah, I mean, it was kind of going into the event, we had like really good like weeks of scrims. Everything was fine. It's just like it's kind of hard to win when you just have auto loss maps like fucking Ilios and Gibraltar to like expect to like go really far. But you know, I'm pretty happy with like the result. I'm not like at all like kind of like ashamed of it. So I mean, in general, I think it was okay for us, honestly.
Yeah. It's good to hear you describe that, you know, as ENCE, you had auto loss maps like Ilios. So, you know, you'd have to be like crazy or delusional or just have something wrong. And then you'd have to do something like strategically wrong to not pick Ilios against a team that regards it as an auto loss map, right? Like that
you even said in the interview you did with me, like, oh yeah, Ilios is going to be fucking rough. Ilios is going to be so rough. Don't want to play Ilios against anyone. I don't know if
Doris thought it was like mind
double bluff. Yeah, they've got Ilios in their back pocket. I'm not going to fall for your tricks, Crimzo. To Busan we go.
Yeah, I actually had that plan from like weeks out beforehand or whatever. I was like, oh no, Ilios, watch out. Watch out. So scared.
Did you have to play a single Ilios? You didn't have to play
No,
once, right?
thank fucking God we didn't.
I had it twice, man. I had it against, do you know who I played Ilios against? Falcons and Crazy Raccoons. Fuck the world.
Can't be us though.
It's a cruel world.
Then that probably brings us on nicely to maybe one of the top candidates for biggest losers from the event. Does it have to be Toronto the biggest loser at the event?
For sure, right?
I think,
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. I think,
So fucking funny, dude. Like they can't escape mid.
They
even
can't
with, like,
actually
one of the
can't escape it. It's so
rosters in the
fucking
world.
funny.
Oh, they wish they were mid. Then they would have got like 4th or something.
Yeah, true. They can't even come mid. Just destined to come last place or not make it to the LAN events over and over and over again.
It's I mean, it's funny, right? Like, I guess like how it ended up playing was like I mean, as I've always said, the Korean teams are clearly way better than the Western teams, and like there was no point ever. Actually, no point even believing. Like, if you even believe the Western teams had a
There's
chance,
no
you're a
evidence
fucking
against
idiot.
that, so don't even look for it.
I remember listening to you do like an interview with Yiska, and like the title even was you saying how it's like, you know, you can't see the level, like you can't see the difference between the levels.
Okay, that's
you watch
true,
a
though.
match of good Overwatch and bad Overwatch. That's such kappa that you.
No,
can't
it isn't.
see the
It's
level,
not
bro.
kappa, dude.
No, it's not kappa, bro. Like these are the words of someone that couldn't change the London Spitfire roster for 2 years straight, and then got Sauna and Lethal as his fucking Tracer players, bro. Like this should be the indication right there. Like this guy's saying he can't see the level. It's like that's why. Fucking same roster forever into 2 fucking duds on Tracer. Like that's the issue right there. If you had fucking Face watching these games, he would have been locked in, dialed. No, he would see the level.
No, then we have Yaki on Tracer, then, wouldn't we?
Okay. I'm telling you, if you do what I did on stream and you watch them in the replay view, I think you can see the differences. But when you just watch it like on broadcast, as like vast majority of people who are saying that like this game is high quality and this game is low quality, I think my take was 100% right, by the way. Like, people, if you say these are 2 shit teams, like the best example is it was in the comment section of like, remember when Toronto played Shock at the start of that season and everyone thought it was going to be American Tornado versus, like, this is going to be an absolute classic. These teams are amazing. And it was 3-2. And everyone's like, fucking hell, what a game. This is insane. And then as the fucking season got on, everyone realized these 2 teams are just shit. Actually, I'm right. Like, if a close game, if you perceive it as 2 good teams, okay, if you break it down, especially if you're like a professional coach or someone better than me, okay, I think you can see it. I think the vast majority of people who were saying that, like, oh, like the Korean like level is like way better just from watching it, were just predicting correctly, but they were predicting, you know, they couldn't see it.
I'll pay that. I do think
this is cope number 1. So someone can add the cope-ometer from me this podcast. See how many copes I get up to.
I do think that it was like, you know, sometimes you would watch Korea and like you would watch them pick dive and it's like, okay, there's just a completely different level here. Like there is a completely different level, like 1,000,000%, you know? I think when you're watching these like rush mirrors, like these equalizer comps, and you were watching like EU versus Korea, you couldn't see the difference, right? Like you actually could not see the difference because they're both like pretty good at that stuff, you know? Both teams can lock ram creep up and call it a day, right? But like when you were watching like NA versus any other region, like you could genuinely see a tier break, you know? Like you can actually see a difference in the quality, you know? And I think like maybe for Toronto, like you could see that Toronto was like a high quality team and that anyone else in NA was like actually like genuinely like significantly lower quality. Like you could really see the difference there because their macro was just arse, you know? Like people wouldn't do anything that was like special. I remember like I used to watch Xavier's co-streams and it's like when I would watch NA Scrims top down and then I would watch Xavier co-streaming and it would be like fucking SSG versus Toronto and I would think shit, like this is just definitively higher level, you know? I watched the way that teams are rotating, how fast people are moving around. People just use their legs more, you know? Like you genuinely, like you get to a certain point and people just start moving around the map more and you see people flip the map and nobody dies and then they flip the map again and nobody dies. And it's like you don't see that at the lower level. Like you just see people vanish off the face of the earth instantly, you know? So I definitely think that you can see the difference, but you know, fucking Mickey Mouse 17 or Wile E. Coyote or whatever his name is on Reddit. Like, no, they can't fucking see anything. Yeah. They have no clue about anything. And you're using them as the comparison point. You're saying that like
that's what I'm attacking though. No,
that is like the absolute.
I'm attacking
because you're saying it even for yourself, you know. But like you're looking at this guy that is like at the absolute apex of the Dunning-Kruger curve. Like he thinks he knows everything, but he's actually a fucking moron. Like it could
Me?
be me. Yeah, no, unfortunately, not us. Unfortunately, I think as professional Overwatch coaches in the Overwatch League for like 4+ years, we can actually confidently say that we're at least past the Dunning-Kruger point of delusion into at least some level of proficiency, you know? And maybe your ego stayed at the peak the entire time, and your knowledge went get better and better. But just broadly speaking, I do think like you can see the difference. It's just it's a little hard.
I don't know.
Sometimes.
I don't know. I see your point. I mean, I don't think you're totally wrong. I just feel like, especially when we do it from POVs and stuff in the broadcast, like, I don't know. I just feel, my feeling is this, like, this would be the ultimate test, is if you took, like, I don't know, like M80 versus Toronto, and then you took Crazy Raccoons versus Falcons, and you just took off all of the text, so you didn't know who was playing. I actually think, unless you look at like actual comp choices, I think all of the people on Reddit who were saying that the Korean level soundtrack wouldn't have actually been able to tell the difference. They just they project what they think of these two teams.
No, I reckon you could spot Vega and Hawk from a mile away, bro.
You reckon so?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I don't know. Like, don't you think that's like the case that you know like these teams?
I really, honestly don't think it's as noticeable as you make it out. I really think a lot of games, but like, I suspect maybe if you had like Ronald versus McDonald and like FACEIT fucking round of 17, and it's like they're both like
but these matches are like Ronald versus McDonald, dude. Like
Toronto versus M80. I mean, maybe in hindsight you're right.
I mean, it's like we're talking about fucking Lyar versus Chorong here, bro. Like, be so serious. Like there is like a clear tier break in skill. Like,
I mean, there is
no
obviously
doubt.
There is, but I just don't know.
You don't
maybe
see
you're
it?
right. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it might be the first time. Maybe I'm wrong.
There needs to be like a ranked, but like pro players, you blank out their names, you gotta guess who it is.
You have to guess which team you're watching. That'd be good, actually.
That would be a good quiz segment for a future week.
Ooh.
Where it's like instead of doing a quiz, it's like
we watch
guess
clips.
the player, and you present two players.
That'd be so good.
This is ethnicity. That's what you have to guess. Like, where is this guy from?
It's just like it's a clip on
he's
Lucio,
Korean,
and it's
he's
like,
American,
is it
he's
Lyar or
European.
is it Chorong? Is this proper or sauna? You know, that would be good.
That would go. That would
It
be
is,
good.
and it's also that'll be really good for your argument too, because if you can cherry pick moments where anyone plays good because they all have good aim, right? And instead of seeing the on average performance of the Tracer that has a KD of 1, versus the Tracer that has a KD of 10, you'll see these tiny little snippets that will perfectly allow you to illustrate your point and make me look like an idiot. So you should definitely do this as a segment.
I'm learning Sony Vegas as we speak to help boost my ego.
Okay, so we're going to solve whether or not you can see the level of Overwatch. But one thing that was apparent is that all of North America just felt... I was going to say all of North America, but I actually feel like M80 didn't do too bad compared to my expectations for them for this event.
Mate, they went to map 5 with
exactly,
SSG.
right? Like, they lose to Crazy Raccoons, they
they
lose a close game to SSG, maybe 5th/6th, or 5th if you're going to use the Gator tier break. I guess they actually got the official tier break as well, didn't they? Because they had more maps, so they actually finished ahead of Toronto. But it actually really isn't too bad a result for M80, especially considering all of their players, minus Ultraviolet, had decided to retire before, or decided to leave at least before the event.
I mean, that team is always like, it seemed like that team was always just kind of like, we don't give a shit. Like, we're just going to show up and then we're going to play the match. I mean, obviously, like, they have a lot of very experienced players like during match time, so it's not like a huge surprise that they're able to lock in for the games like themselves. But I mean, I think honestly, not bad at all from them. I think they kind of like figured out a way to win and like enable their better players, so they did that and they had a pretty good result.
Yeah, I think that was the team that was destined to be like has a higher potential to rise to the occasion versus a team that actually tries and scrims without having a mental breakdown and throwing after like 2 maps. So,
I don't think you can ever like think of them as like an easy match, like an easy win or anything like that.
Exactly.
They're never
because the skill is there except for one.
Yeah.
I mean, we scrimmed them like the week before, and they were fucking gone. Like, it was like insane. Like, they were like standing still, like almost immediately. You could tell this team was fucking like ready to retire. So I think we probably expected it to be. One thing I will say is, like, you know how there's like a close 3-0 or not a close 3-0, depending on who you look at. I feel like that 3-2 was also like, I don't know. If you think about
a one-sided 3-2.
Okay, let me cope here. Let me fucking this number 2. Get it on the scoreboard.
The co-bonus is rising.
Map 3, they didn't win a fucking team fight. Okay. Map 5, they didn't win a team fight, basically. I saw Gator on Plat Chat say, oh yeah, after map 1 on New Queen Street, we fucked up. We knew what we were going to do. We fucked up. You don't deserve to win if you lose map 1. Bro, we full capped the map with like 3 minutes left, and you're saying, oh, well, if we'd won first fight, it's a different fucking story. Like, that's cope. That's real cope. And even map 4, we're 2-0 up. We're actually just laughing in comms, and then we just start to kind of clutch it, and then we kind of like get reverse swept. So I don't know, like I'm kind of a little bit like that series. It wasn't as close as it seemed, even though it was 3-2. But yeah, I think you're right. Like I think it was obvious that they were going to play better than they did in their scrims when they were just like clocked out. One thing I will say is, okay, tell me this: Gator and Hawk hate Hattie so fucking much. It's unbelievable, right? Like think about the last 3 seasons. In season 5, we had that like big 3-2 match where like Gator came in last map and fucking mirrored Reinhardt. And they got like shit on in there. And then season 6, they had their great season. We still knocked them out on Reinhardt in playoffs. And then now, like we've retired them on Reinhardt. Dude. They must actually like Hawk must hate Hattie more than any human being on planet Earth. I think. Like if you pick Reinhardt in his ranked games, I think he probably gets unbelievable PTSD.
You guys are actually like the Western boogeymen. Like you just fucking go after all the Western people. You just fucking kill them. You just kill them.
I think it's funny because like Hawk and Gator's success in the Overwatch League stems so heavily from Reinhardt too. It was actually like it was more Orisa than people give it credit, to be honest. But like so much of Atlanta's legacy in their like only successful season ever in the Overwatch League was just fucking forcing this shit. And then they talk about London like these shit players that are forcing Ryan all the time. And it's like, where did your success come from? No, and it's like even though Hawk is actually like really high level on lots of heroes, but like Gator was like just such a Hattie analog in terms of the heroes that he played, you know? It's like he's got this like main tank that picks a bit of Sigma, you know, people think of him as him like this jack of all trades, but at the end of the day, he is actually kind of like low-key a bit one-tricky, if you know what I mean? Like he can only play Winston in the rush context. He's insane at Reinhardt. He's got a good Orisa. Like I feel like Hardy and Gator have like massive parallels in who they are as players. And then Hawk's like career also has like super reliant on being this like one trick off meta team when he was successful. So it's like it's crazy to see how much they hate on them. You know, they're just like hating the shadows of their former selves.
Yeah.
Feels good.
When you scrimmed M80 before, were they running the Mauga stuff before the event?
No, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect them to go Mauga, like Venture Genji or Tracer Genji. I mean, maybe it makes sense because we shit on them in the scrim. So I don't think they picked any Pharah against those because I think our like BAP cast comps are pretty good against like how they play. So we like I think especially round 1 of KOF, we didn't expect them, so it kind of like it stun locked us a little bit, I think. And obviously that was the comp that we basically couldn't beat all tournament. That was the one that killed us effectively. So I didn't expect them to do plan B. I mean, I think that one thing that you could maybe say, like, I think even like one of the best coaches in the world, Rush, who I've always said is great coach and always respected him.
Strategic mastermind.
He even said on Korean Uncoachable this week, he said that like the reason, and this is actually, to be fair, this is what we said for fucking weeks on this podcast, right? Like the problem with NA is it felt like they didn't have anything. They didn't have like a comp, didn't have anything special. And I think both Toronto and M80 ended up like emergency plan B picking comps like on last game day and then getting fucked. Whereas one thing that you can definitely make a criticism of EU was we got the fucking meta wrong, right? Like I think that's fair to say that our meta read was incorrect, but we at least built something on our meta read that meant that like we had like a backbone, like in more ways, like a fucking spine, you know? And it like
and
I think that
backbone.
And a guy named Backbone. And I think that was like maybe like, because to be fair, like the games again, you guys against Toronto and us against M80 was close, right? Like EU finished it both, but it wasn't like EU was like miles better than NA. Like it was pretty close. Yeah. But like if you had to ask like what was like the difference, that's what I feel like. I feel like the difference was like we, even if our meta read was wrong, we had something somewhere, whereas they like what was NA's comp? What was NA better than anyone else at, you know? Like you even say it, right? Like New Queen Street map 5, ironically, they're mirroring the BAP comps. It's not Atlanta map 5 mirroring Reinhardt going down, but they played Ram, Lucio BAP mirror, and they got shit on because that's what we did. The same on Midtown, right? You guys like you got like one map where like Toronto, and I think there was a round of KOF on Busan too, right? Where they just mirrored like Ram, Lucio BAP, and it's like the NA teams ended up like having to kind of like mirror our style because they felt like they couldn't beat it. And then it's kind of ugly. They didn't have anything unique about like them.
I think to be fair, like to M80, when they swapped to more of a Mauga comp, even if they were improvising it, one, it kind of just felt like a classic Atlanta Reign lower bracket run type thing. But it also felt like it suited their comp, right? Like Hawk can play a bit of it. Suddenly they can put Pelican on Genji, and maybe they can just play like a more aggressive style, and it kind of suits a lot of their players. Whereas when Toronto were doing the same thing, I looked at it and I really felt like, well, surely Sugar Free's not really going to be a hard carry on this hero now. Mauga feels like someone's weakest hero. And all of a sudden, if someone isn't in a role where he can carry for that team, you've probably fucked up somewhere along the line, right? Like, same with the EU teams. Had most of their players on heroes they could carry on, even if it was ultimately the wrong meta read.
Yeah.
I think also I think it's also just like easier for the EU teams to kind of figure out something to like build on, because like, you know, for ENCE, like we're not super like probably we were the least flexible team, I think you can say. So it's kind of like we had a very limited amount of like options. So it's kind of straightforward in terms of like what we have to do. And then obviously SSG a little bit more options. But then like you go to like NA and it feels like, you know, like a team like Toronto, it seems like, I mean, obviously we always say that they're like the jack of all trades, they can play everything, but not really good at anything. But it's like that roster, it's like, I feel like they can play so many different things, but like they just like never come to like a conclusion, I feel like. But whereas like the EU teams, like it's pretty kind of like straightforward about like what, you know, you have to do to like win. So I don't know, maybe it's just a lot harder to like be able to do that when you have such like a roster that can like play a lot of different styles. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like one thing I've felt that I've realized, so when I did World Cup this year, my idea was to build I was going to do like this, like build 2 trees, okay? 2 trees. two trees. And the idea was that we're going to have like a dive lineup where we play like Winston Anna with Jamie on flex support, and then we're going to have like the Sigma BAP idea. And the idea was like if we play against the Korean teams, we play Sigma anti-dive, and if we play against the European teams, we dive them. And then the idea is we counter whoever. And then what ended up happening about a week before the event was like, and I'm actually really interested. I wonder if this is something like one of the difference between like Western mentality and Korean mentality, or if it's just everyone gets this. But it feels like is Western mentality, it's so easy to lose confidence on a comp to the point where the comp becomes unplayable almost overnight. Like almost overnight, it's just like, I don't have any confidence that we can win. What happened in World Cup was our dive, it just stopped working, and we just never felt comfortable to pick it. We never felt comfortable to pick dive maps. And that's how we ended up getting to a situation where we played against Finland and was like, either we mirror them and we lose, or we try this Orisa shit and then we also just get fucked, you know? And I felt like that was Toronto, right? Like if like Toronto built 3 trees, maybe they played a lot of migrant scrims, they played a lot of BAP in scrims, and they played this like this dive style. If you've built 3 trees and you play against ENCE, the only reason you don't pick Ilios has to be like an actual confidence. They actually didn't feel confident to play dive against it, because it's such a guaranteed, like it's such an obvious pick in every single way against ENCE that like this is the worst map to have to play Lucio BAP on. It's the same reason why everyone picked it into us. And I feel like this like 3 trees or 2 trees system, if you only build 1 tree, like I guess like ENCE did, and then slightly like we did a little bit, it means you don't really have another fucking option. You're just going to play your comp and you're going to at least have like some confidence on it. And I wonder if actually like, unless you can actually teach players to be like truly confident that you could just play any comp and win because you're good players, maybe actually having like a multi-tree system or like multiple styles that you've learned, maybe it's actually just really hard to pull off, because I didn't have success with it in my entire career, basically. Toronto tried it this time and they didn't have success with it. I don't know, maybe actually, unless you are like the big dogs, you kind of need to just like pick something and be good at it.
Did they try it though? Because is that of the argument against ENCE that by picking Busan and Colosseo, really doesn't feel like there were like clearer options to pick dive, right? Like, why didn't we go to Ilios and Esperanza?
But this would be my guess, is the same thing that happened to us in World Cup, where we didn't feel like we could play dive with confidence. I think that must have happened to her. They must have lost some dive scrims to Korean teams or something, or maybe ENCE had success against their dive in general. Because, like, it feels like that was the way to go for Toronto, right? Like, it feels like they had to pick dive maps. Like, pick Esperanza, pick Ilios. Maybe they wouldn't have got Gibraltar because, like, Crimzo would have took, like, Circuit Rail or Havana right away. But, yeah, like, take Hollywood when you get the opportunity. You can, if you want to do dive, I think you can get it done on at least 2, if not 3 of the 5 maps, especially if you get map 1 choice.
Well, because they won the dive map, right? On Busan.
Yeah.
They won
downtown, yeah.
Downtown,
and then they lost the one where they played ball. Yeah.
I don't know if there was maybe just misplaced faith in that ball comp as well. Like they just thought the Zen ball was free.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the line of thinking that they had, but I think it's just wrong. Like, I think like they saw us play NRG on Busan and we were fucking shit, which is true. And like, Busan is like not even like an extremely good map for us, right? I think like we probably like going into the Toronto game, I'd say we had like it was like 50-50 going into the map. But if we had gone to Ilios, it would have been like 90-10, like for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Busan's not like our strongest
right?
map.
You guys just got lost to fucking shock on Gibraltar, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah. And I mean, also like this kind of goes back to, I think, Chris, what you were saying about like Western mentality, like losing confidence as well. It's like, Gibraltar's always been like it's always gonna be like a really hard map for my team, right? So we had to like kind of like come up with some bullshit to like do what we can to like win, because obviously we can't just like fucking go in and like auto lose and like try to like match dive or some shit like that. So like, I feel like sometimes like you have to like make shit up. But then people just like lose confidence. Like they lose one time. They're like, oh, I don't want to play this anymore. And I feel like it's so stupid, because it's like, what else are we gonna do? Like, you want to match like dive versus like a
get Vess on Winston?
Yeah. What do you want to do? Like, it's a shit map for us anyway. Like we have to just try some bullshit and like see what happens. But like some people like they'd rather just like play like basically what's meta and then just lose on that. But like, it makes no sense to me. But yeah, I think in terms of like building up trees as well, it's like, I think maximum you can only have like 2 trees, to be honest. And then, because I think that's something that I kind of personally regret as well for ENCE, was like, I feel like we were too like constricted in like our mentality of like Sigma beats Maga. But in reality, I think, especially like in scrims leading up to the event, we should have tried a little bit like more things, I think, because we were kind of like full ride or die with the Maga, like the Sigma shit. So I think like having different styles is okay, but you need to like, you cannot be able to play like every single comp and expect to like do really well on it, I think.
Do you think if Toronto grew less trees, they would have won, or they would have gotten further?
I think so. If they had committed to like dive and like the Maga style, for example, then I think it would have been really clear for them what they had to do, and they would have won the series, I think, really easily, in my opinion. Or like it would have been way easier, right? So I think like they just needed to fucking grow less trees and just focus on a couple of different styles, maybe 1 or 2.
Is that philosophy like really fair when like Crazy Raccoon, just to play devil's advocate here, when Crazy Raccoon basically won by playing heaps of shit, no? Like they actually played. Didn't they play like a bunch of different comps? Yeah. Like they played like dive, they played hog, they played all sorts, no?
I mean, I feel like they only played dive and like Maga comp. That was like their 2 comps that they played.
Didn't they also play ball? They played ball, they played hog, right? They played that is dive, sorry. But they played Winston dive, they played ball dive, they played hog, they played Malga. Like this is more than just 2 distinct styles, right? Yeah,
but they're like different variations, but it's the same style, I think. Like ball and monkey, it's like it's still dive, right? And I think the other comp is like they played the Maga as well. So like they had two styles that they like went in with, right? And I think that's probably like I think, in my opinion, is like the optimal thing, because if one doesn't work, then you have the other one. But if you have like 3 or 4 different fucking ways to play the game, I think it's really unrealistic to think that you can like compete at all.
Yeah.
The thing is too, I feel like this is why I think I probably agree with you, Max. Like I feel like this is why I said like, is it a Western mentality thing? Because I mean, I don't know like the Korean like Crazy Raccoons mentality, but I feel like they just like, especially when we scrimmed Crazy Raccoons more than Falcons, but definitely Crazy Raccoons. I feel like they just fucking like they just pick anything and they swap anything. It feels like they can just like play it with confidence. Like the Roadhog pick, just fuck it, let's just do it, And to me, like it feels like as Western players, we almost like need to shield behind our comfort here. Or maybe this is like our like us and ENCE, we have this more than other teams. But that's what I felt like. I think even like Kevza is an example, right? Like I feel like in scrims, Kevza was playing everything, like every hero under the sun. I felt like on LAN, I saw him like on Tracer 80% of the time. Whereas like in our scrims, the guy was just fucking picking everything at all the times, And I feel like for us, right, when we were planning the draft against ENCE, I said if we lose a map, I'm picking Route 66 because I think this is a fucking no-brainer. I think Route 66 is our best map in scrims. It's really tough, I think, to play a lot of the styles that like ENCE want to play. We always win that map against them in officials and scrims. And then I had like a few players like, are you sure? Shouldn't we pick Havana? Shouldn't we do this? Like it feels like we really, really, really wanted to just like to play it like whatever. And I think that I don't know, maybe the Koreans have it too, or maybe they just think so much better at the moment where like it doesn't like their insecurity on this stuff doesn't come true. But I don't know, that's what I feel too sometimes is that like, and I think this is the same as what happened on Toronto's and M80 is like, I wonder if teams are a little bit too easy to just like lose. Like if you lose a few scrims, you lose confidence that the comp or the hero comp work and you just want to kind of like NA back to like whatever's meta at the time, and EU just goes back to playing fucking Lucio backgrounds.
I think it happens everywhere because I remember. Do you remember when Yeti had like their moment in the sun in that like the seeding match before the Korea finals, and they just beat everyone. Like they beat Crazy Raccoons, or they went 3-2. I think they beat one of Falcons and Crazy Raccoons and went 3-2 with the other one, and it was like, oh my god, they're the best dive team in the world. They're smoking all these teams, playing their own stuff. They're not really leaning into any of this meta thing. And then by the time we see them in the actual playoffs for Korea, all of a sudden they seem to be panicking. Donghack's going Malga, and it's like, you guys were rolling on dive a week ago. What happened? But it feels like the most obvious explanation is it stopped working on scrims, the confidence is shaken in the comp, and then they're just sort of throwing new comp ideas at the wall, trying to find another way through.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen it happen before, like where like if you're playing like a comp which isn't like your comp, the confidence goes so much faster. I mean, I remember in last season 6, you remember, well, after like we made our Rhine resurgence and then there was like the Flashpoint patch, we were playing like that Orisa Genji comp and we were actually having like pretty good success with it. It felt like we had like a good idea of what to do. I remember it took one bad day of scrims and we were just like, yeah, let's just never play this comp again. Let's just play the Rhine comp everywhere, you know? Like it felt like it was like we were able to have so many bad scrims and bad maps on Reinhardt and then never give up on it. But we were not able to have that same level of like, oh, we can lose on this before we want to kind of go back to it. And I wonder if that was the same thing that happened with Toronto, where it's like, they were just like, oh, we can play all these comps. Because they'd spent half their time playing fucking Rhine comps, you know? Like all of a sudden it was like, fuck, like even like you grew 3 trees and you used the 4th one in officials, you know? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there's anything really. I don't super agree with the idea that like Toronto played like too many different things for their practice, and that's why they like fucked up. Because I feel like it makes a lot of sense to like diversify your practice and just like experiment with lots of different things. I think sometimes Toronto, like their approach in scrims can be a little bit like brain dead, where it's like they just sort of force the same thing over and over and over and over again for like a whole block, and they try and really test the limits of it to the point that it seems like really counterproductive. Because I think sometimes it's just like really clear what's good in certain areas, and you shouldn't just like force it because you're kind of like you're removing your ability to practice something that's definitely going to be optimal down the line. But you know, like this idea that like, you know, you said like M80, like they were able to flex over and play stuff where it's like, they're on Malga and they're on Genji. It's like, yeah, Hawk's good at that style of hero, like the Malga style hero, and Pelican's the best Genji in the world, you know? Of course they were able to flex over to that comp and make it work, you know? Like some element of it is sort of just like the gamble of what people are good at and what the actual good meta comps involve, right? I feel like that has to be considered to some extent. I think if you're going to like flame Toronto for why they lost, you know, you can flame them for versing the actual hard BAP one trick team and not drafting Ilios, you know? Like there are strategic things that they could have done that would have made it so easy for them, like that. But then like saying don't practice as many different things, like I think it's just like lower on the list because Toronto's flexibility is like a huge boon to the huge majority of opponents, but somehow they managed to not exploit it versus
well, that's their win con in theory, right? In these tournaments, is that
yes,
you can always play the counter comp depending on what region you're
in. The presence of that flexibility is why someone won the Overwatch League. You know, like I think it makes total sense to lean into that. But at the same time, like that team kind of all in on a comp towards the end. You know, like they grew 2 trees for playoffs. I'm talking about Florida Mayhem here. Yeah. Like they actually did only grow 2 trees by the end. So maybe there is some value to like actually honing in on a direction by the end as opposed to doing the actual like just scattergun theory of playing everything, growing a few trees, playing grind at the end of the day just for a laugh. Yeah.
I mean, I think I actually agree with what you're saying. Like maybe I didn't speak it the good way. Like that sentence, ironically. Like I feel like
phenomenal illustration.
Don't speak so good sometimes.
But I think like Toronto's like system of being like this flexible team that can play everything, I think is fine. But you have to fucking stick. You have to like trust the process, stick to the process, you know. And you have this Korean Winston player, and you play a lot of dive, and you have like someone that likes to play. And I don't know. I feel like if your confidence is easily broken on dive, when dive clearly can work because Crazy Raccoons weren't playing it, I think that becomes like a problem that they need to look at in the future. Because if the same thing that happened to me in World Cup happened to them in this tournament, then maybe it'll just keep happening, you know? Whereas I think you're right. Like I think ultimately they should have had full confidence that against the Korean teams, we shouldn't mirror dive, or maybe we shouldn't mirror Mauga, and we should play the same style that like ENCE play. And against ENCE, we need to play dive and maybe Mauga too, you know. But it didn't feel that they necessarily like. Maybe they were more all in on Mauga than the dive, and that was maybe where the mistake was more than that. Because to be fair, they only mirrored BAP on one map.
I think it's a little crazy now that I think about it, actually, that like maybe it might have been the worst shout ever to keep Merit in that core if your philosophy was to be like mega flexible. You know what I mean? Like if they want to be the people that can do everything all the time, it's like it worked for Merit, but like the guy was flexing between like what, like Bastion and Sojin. Like that's just two things that were like definitively in the main DPS pool, right? But then like in the free agent pool at the beginning of the year was both Proper and Lip, right?
Lip would have been fucking good.
But I mean, both of them would have been fucking good. I thought they were getting Proper initially, but it's like fuck Proper, you know? He cries after every loss or whatever, you know? Fuck him. But at the end of the day, like going with Merit, it's like you went with a true top hit scan option, right? Like I'm not trying to say Merit's bad, don't get me wrong, but you also went with the guy that has like a fucking terrible tracer, like a terrible tracer, like really bad flex DPS pool, you know? And it's like if you want to be the team where your edge is you press H all the time and you always have the compositional advantage, you actually can't do it with that guy. Like you really can't, you know, because you can't play every style. They were able to play every style in Florida last year because it worked out, you know? He had to flex between his best hit scan hero and Bastion. You know, but when it gets down to flankers and
when it was Sombra, they couldn't beat any of the top teams.
They were mid, you know, like they were fourth. Yeah. So you know, just another feather in the cap of Casaurus, I suppose. You know,
I must feel like to utilize Merit, you have to have like another DPS option. To be honest,
like a third one.
Yeah. Like,
or just grow trees that are hit scan centric.
Or you just you all in on the hit scan shit. But like, I mean, I think Toronto, like for them, I think it seems like looking back now, it probably seems obvious to us and obvious to them as well that, you know, they should have gone to like the Ilios and shit like that. But I just think like they had so many styles that they never really like. It felt like it seemed like they got like confused in the end. But I feel like I'm thinking like if Gumba was coaching that team, there is 0% chance that they do not go Ilios, right? Like there's 0%.
For sure. I mean, Ilios is such a no-brainer.
There's 0% chance.
It's unforgivable.
Like I think obviously, I think the most obvious thing is like you know, you go Ilios, you play dive against the fucking European NA teams, and then against the Korean teams, you form some sort of different like style. I think that's like the most obvious thing. I think if Gumba was like in charge, I think he would have like it would have been much harder to deal with, because I think, you know, diversifying your like, you know, your strengths and like playing multiple different comps is fine, but like at the end of the day, I feel like you do have to like be able to like cut away at some stuff. But I feel like they never really did that. They just kind of like kept trying to play a bunch of different comps and styles, and they kind of just like fell flat. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel.
I mean, it just feels like something you should have been able to like almost context clue out. Like even if you somehow didn't understand what your own team was good at, you know, like if you're talking to all the teams at the event, like you would have heard all the Euro teams talking about their strategic approach. Literally like talking about how they're going to have to go to Ilios because they're going to verse these Korean teams that can play dive. And like Toronto, they need to view themselves as a Korean team that can play dive, right? Like that's like their thing. Maybe they are anti-Ilios because, you know, like Florida historically, you know, Merit, like he always had to play like the weird shit on Ilios. It was a little bit
like
of
you need like an Echo or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like again, they're a shit Echo Tracer team, right? Like you know, you would scrim them, and it's like, wow, Toronto feels super winnable today because it's just 6 maps of fucking Anna Brig Echo Tracer with Sugar Free on Echo and Merit on Tracer, and it's like, wow, this is like the least intimidating DPS line ever. So I think that like at the end of the day, they spend so much time growing up their dive ability, and they're versus these ground tank teams on Ilios. It's like, I don't think you even need the Echo, right? Like they could have just done like some weird Pharah stuff. They
did Ash
like Nano Blades or something.
I mean, when I watched their game on stream the other day, twitch.tv/ChristyFAOW. Like I felt like the tempo of their dive compared to Crazy Raccoons was like night and day. Like Crazy Raccoons are unbelievably oppressive to play against. Like they are cycling you in spawn 7 times before you can walk out. Whereas I felt like when I was watching Toronto, they were like, maybe it's because they have the hit scan that things were like were more challenging for them, but it didn't feel like they had the same like level of either macro or just level of like aggression and confidence when they played it, you know. the thing is, like, it's funny too, because I don't know how you guys have felt, but when we've played against Toronto, when they've played like Doomfist and stuff, it's been pretty fucking tricky to beat. Like, I actually rate someone's Doom pretty high.
Someone's really good at that hero. Like,
yeah, and
Winston
I think, yeah, as Winston's really good. I really, really, really think there is a way that you can draft into like Ilios, then it goes Havana for ENCE, and you go Hollywood, and then you pick like an Esperanza, or even you Queen Street with like a Doom. I think it's really fine. Like, I feel like there was a way for them to do that. You know, I think the other thing to consider about is like ENCE are like probably the best anti-Mauga team. I think ENCE are better against Mauga than we are for sure. Like actually, like I think they caused the Mauga comps more difficulty than we did. So even then, if your only other plan was like to Mauga comp where you didn't have as much practice on, also feels really shit, you know? I feel like Toronto went into it and it just, I don't know, nothing really stuck. And I think that when we talk about winners or losers, the same way that we'll maybe flame Falcons for having infinite money and getting the choice of everybody, and even them being second, I think is technically a failure considering like what the like resources that they have. Toronto's the same, right? Like Toronto gets a teaming house, or salaried way more than any like Western team. Got to pick every NA player they wanted. Got to pick any 2 Korean players within reason. And I think for them to like come into this tournament with nothing feels like really shit.
Yeah, I think from a roster construction standpoint, the only questionable decision was
the DPS,
the merit slot. You know, yeah, that's all IMO, because I think like Sugar Free was a bit of a no-brainer, to be honest. And like Vega, RuPaul, all you can get.
Is some of their problem then, because you talk about it, you said you watched like their dive on stream and it didn't feel like it was actually very clinical or very good. But then when I was watching their Mauga as well, I just thought like, they're not very good at this comp. Like, it doesn't feel like they really understand or have like as high level on a macro on the other teams. Like, they lost to FMCL in a Mauga mirror.
Yeah.
Is the problem they just don't have, I don't know what we call it, is like there are an inherent problem with playing in NA, and that just means you can't get a high enough level of practice? Like, are they just...
What sort of Mauga mirror were they playing? What were the DPS?
Was it the Farah one that everyone was doing?
Hold on, I can fact check this.
Let's see the DPS comp.
Because I remember, right? They had to swap to Sigma BAP to beat FMCL, right? Like the same...
Yeah, so Toronto were playing Genji Cass, and it was against some Genji, some Farah from FMCL.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cass is fine, but I don't think Sugar Free's Genji is like his strongest hero either, you know? I think that Sugar Free is definitely a flex DPS that has like these like really elite heroes at the top, but then he also has like some pretty average ones, you know? Like I don't rate his Echo very high, I don't rate his Genji super high either, you know? He has like absolutely like fucking insane Sombra, like very solid Tracer as well. But I do think that like maybe the Genji, the Echo, stuff like that is just not as high quality maybe. Because you look at like the people that he's versing on Genji, you know, and it's like they're all really, really good except for Psycho. But I don't think Psycho's picking Genji. Is he?
I don't know. I think his Genji's actually not as bad as he thinks, ironically. Like I think
he's in his head about that Ilios blade.
Don't say it out loud.
Yeah. Sometimes when I watch this POV, I'm like, oh, this guy's fucking clean with it. But I think he doesn't believe that his Genji's as good as it is. But
I mean, like, but Psycho's Echo is like fucking insane.
Very good. Yeah.
So it's not like super important. I think, you know, he has like other options.
I mean, okay, I think maybe what you said, X, is like a good segue into like, I think I have to answer some questions about why the fuck the Koreans were like, well, we didn't play them close at all and didn't take a map after talking all the shit about how we're going to beat them. And I don't know, I think there's excuses and I think there's reasons, but I think the scrim bubble thing is actually a much bigger factor than I expected. I know, again, I think Cass on Plat Chat, actually a good Plat Chat yesterday, by the way, first time in 220 episodes, but they got a good one out. That's a joke, guys. It's not fuck it, there's a war.
Just keep it backhanded.
Yeah. I felt like, actually, like, here's what I felt. I don't know, you guys, do you go to the gym? I don't know if you go to the gym like me, like semi-regularly.
I don't know if we're all as physically fit as you. I don't know.
Is that
was that also once in 228 days?
That's it. That's literally my average. But I'm guessing how it goes is like, if you go to the gym and you're lifting 50 kg dumbbells, once you get to that weight, I'm assuming 50 kgs is a big number, but I actually have no fucking clue. You need to have good form to lift that weight. You know what I mean? You need good form. And I think
that's a great analogy.
I'm following it.
when you go back to the gym, your little fucking village, and they only have 20 kg dumbbells, all of a sudden, I think you don't need the form to beat it. And all of a sudden, I think like everything, yeah, I don't know, like it goes a little bit, you know? And one thing that I felt, the very first time we screamed Crazy Raccoons, I analyzed it and I was like, I fucking remember this. I remember this insane pressure, like this, like all of like the angles, like the tempo, like all the fucking buzzwords, but everything that like actually like these Korean, like prime Atlanta were doing, prime Florida were doing, where they're going to cycle you once here. We like all of the stuff that we had to fix. I was like, I fucking remember this. And I watched my backline play, and obviously I think my backline's good. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, like our form where, I don't know, we're dumbbells like this or something, you know, like we're fucking like, we're going all over the place. Like we're always splitting, our rotations are slow. We never peel for each other. We're not hitting the right cooldowns and we're just losing. And I was like, I know how to beat this. We know how to beat this. We've done this before, but our gym has let us get fucking incredibly lazy to the point where just 2 days of Crazy Raccoons, it felt like it actually wasn't enough to get like a really solid anti-dive again. And I don't know, in my head, the way that I saw it was like, we'll just always know how to play anti-dive and we don't need the reps against it. But perhaps that was actually like super fucking naive. Or maybe this patch is just slightly harder to do it than it was. But I don't know. I remember looking at it, I was like, fuck. No team in EU is making it our life this fucking... You saw Ilios against Crazy Raccoons. We couldn't get out of fucking spawn. We're just cycled 5 times by this fucking jumping bull before we're anywhere near the fucking point. That's why Ilios is a great map for a dive team.
Shout out Ilios.
And I know, that's what I felt. I was like, fuck. Like, actually, like, I really, really... Like, I'm super... Scrim Bubble is actually fucking annoying pilled now. And that's my biggest fear is... I think for us to make this esport better, I think we cannot become League of Legends where the Korean teams just show up to every land and it's a fucking given that they're not gonna. We need to fucking be able to put up a fight because it makes the product so much more interesting. We need to do it, but I'm so fucking worried about like their ability to scrim against each other and just their gym has so many more weights than ours, you know.
I mean, you just need to beg for dive to be bad, really. I mean, it's like, I think it's a pretty tall ask to expect the Western teams to like ever catch up on the dive. You know, like the best you can get is like you guys learning to anti-dive, but you're never going to verse that quality outside of the tournaments, like literally never, because no Western team is ever going to be like even close to KR level. You know, our favorite fucking buzzword of all.
Fucking that KR level.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like there's KR level and Hangzhou Spark, and then there's like just Western teams that are not even 50% of the way there. You know, like the dive quality just is not the same. Like it's such a huge gap. I think that is the comp where like the skill difference is actually apparent for what it's worth. You know, I think like with what we were arguing before, I think when we're talking about all of the equalizer mirrors where you're playing Ram and you're playing Castle this year and stuff like that, it's way more difficult to see any high level stuff. You know, but with dive, it's like you can really see there's just like this world of difference. Like the people just are completely insane. Like some people are so much better at it. And they happen to be from the East for the most part. But it's just, I don't know if you're ever going to be able to catch up on that, you know, even with the anti-dive level. I think what you need to bank on is dive is shit at the time, you know? You need to bank on them not playing that stuff. Because if they're playing that stuff, I mean, good fucking luck, bro. Like,
yeah.
But it took London such a long time to like continually get the reps, just versing that shit all the time. And it's like, obviously you guys are good at that, but I mean, are you ever going to get your conditioning back from 3 days of scrims? Like you need more time. Yeah, you need more practice. You need career boot camp pre-event into event. You know, you need to have been scrimming the Raccoons for a month and a half before you verse them on the big day.
Yeah.
Well, you need to have been scrim Falcons and then you verse Raccoons and you beat them because Lip doesn't touch the point. That's the kind of thing that we're going for here.
Well, I think even on London, the number of times, like even when we were playing the Rhine stuff and having success, there was also huge periods where it was like, oh fuck, we just can't keep our BAP alive, and Landon was trying Kiri, then the whole comp didn't feel like it worked, and then back to BAP, we need to like reinvent some more things. And I think so much of it was like Landon and Admiral at the time just finding ways to solve these dive problems or to live in these situations, you know? And most of those we solved through repetition and through evolving. Like, I always remember, I think maybe it was Season 5 playoffs when we scrimmed against Soul Infernal and we played for Reinhardt. I remember Backbone just saying, like, all the shit I used to do 8 months ago against all these other Overwatch League teams, I can just do it again because they've never seen this style of play. They've never seen this fucking hero. And we have no chance to evolve now because who are you playing dive against? Just Toronto?
That's it. Like, ironically, what we need is Turner to get the fingers out their ass and become an elite dive team, because then we can all like practice against
Use them
them.
as
And they
practice.
For the
can all
good of
do
the
this
scene,
up.
for the good of the West, they need to figure out
Yeah.
dive.
But yeah,
Because this is the other thing that was talked about, I think partly as a joke, but obviously the idea was thrown around about colluding and blocking the Korean teams from scrimming. Do you think, with the magical power of hindsight, if there was collusion and we just we burst the scrim bubble, they come over and all they're doing is having to play some random NA teams and collegiate teams, would that have swung a map or two in the West's favour? Would have made it worse.
We were still fucking losing that tournament, you know? My feeling is we weren't winning that tournament with hindsight, but we should have fucking tried. We should have got our hands a little bit fucking dirty, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think the end result is probably going to be the fucking same, but like maybe we could have gotten a map or two. I don't know. Maybe that's cool.
I think that you're beneficiaries of scrimming them, but it's like it's so difficult. It really depends on what's going on. Like if you're trying to counter their comps, like you're trying to do the anti-dive stuff, I think giving them practice against you is the biggest mistake you can make, you know? Like if you wind up being in the situation where it's like you're just London versus Florida, you know? Like they've already got you figured, not Florida, sorry, you're London versus Boston. Like it's just they're gonna keep jamming the solution at you. You need to be London versus Atlanta, where it's like they have this confidence that they can beat you by playing what they're good at, but they can't actually, because you've put too much time into like prepping for all these little things, you know, and they haven't had the time. I remember this is like a very common thing, even with Gladiators, where it was like you scrim London once and you'd think we're going to clap these guys. And then they play Ryan and they fucking dominate you here, there, everywhere, you know, and you scrim them again. And it's like, you figure out a few different things and like the result is different, you know, maybe in 2023 it wasn't super different, but you know there might have been some wins in there. I can't really remember. But you know, like when you get prep time versus London, you get to make huge gains scrim to scrim. But for London, like they're making little incremental gains with every scrim because everyone is playing dive all the time. So you kind of you need to balance that. That's why when I was saying before, like if you want to beat Crazy Raccoons, you need to scrim Falcons a lot, because if you scrim Crazy Raccoons a lot, they're just going to know how to beat you anyway, right? Like dive is probably better if dive's better, you know, like you're on Ilios, be real. Korean teams somehow didn't figure out how to pick double projectile heroes on Lighthouse or whatever for like a year.
Yeah.
Then I'll go on.
No,
were you just taking a piss? Oh, okay. No.
It's still on him. It's fucked.
I hope it's gone. Nah, we can win. We win. We got this.
We got the next one. We got the next one.
Yeah, don't worry.
Well, I guess the only other... Does that bring us on then to Falcons themselves as maybe the main team we've not talked about yet? Because Falcons, obviously, in many ways, got to the final, got to top two, even won the upper bracket, which I don't think a lot of people expected. But then ultimately lost. But I was thinking originally I was thinking maybe they are some of the biggest losers, right? Most money, most budget, most choice of players. But then I thought, actually, did they not just come in, kind of set the meta? Well, I don't know if they set the meta, but they seem the strongest team of the meta. They beat Crazy Raccoons, like they came back and won a Amalgam Mirror. They actually won most of the Amalgam maps in the grand final as well. It took swaps and variety from Crazy Raccoons to win. Is it not actually a decent showing that they come in, they get the right read on the meta, and they're the best team at that meta at the event, and then they don't lose because they have to play the fucking ball guy?
I don't know. I think it depends how you look at it. If you look at it like from like the scrim in their level, I think it's probably not that bad a tournament. Second place is probably like bare minimum. But I think it depends. I think if you look at it under the gaze of like at the start of this team's creation and the finances, and like they flew to NAALE, so they got all of this other stuff. I feel like unfortunately for Falcons is like it's genuinely first place or nothing for them in terms of like they actually can't have any other expectations or be happy with second place ever, because like their roster's too good. There's too much money in on it. They have like the three-headed dragon as their coaching staff. Like they have like everything required to win. I can't imagine that they come away from that tournament like, oh, second, not bad. I bet they were like really fucking heartbroken, you know?
Yeah, they had like all the fucking tools to do everything that they need to win, but I mean, just wasn't good enough, I guess.
I feel like they kind of low key like mega threw 2 of those maps in the grand final.
Gibraltar.
Oh, yeah.
The Gibraltar
The
was
Gibraltar was like
disaster.
unreal, where they played Malga on attack. But even the first map, the Oasis, it was like, I swear it was like a fucking done deal for them, and they got like just the most like nonsense clutch occurred.
It was the most
like,
insane dogfight. Yeah.
It was like they couldn't clean up the
yeah.
point pages, and then like random picks, like magic picks, just start coming through. But it's like I feel like on the Malga Genji, the Malga Genji venture was like really strong, and they were for sure the best at it, right? Like that, they were for sure the best at these Malga comps, but they just decided to play Malga on the Winston maps too. Like it was really weird.
Yeah.
Because even on their defense, their Winston, I feel like it looked fine. You know, you can get a feel. You can get a feel when you play. Like if a team caps to the end after second, like sometimes you can get like when ENCE we played Havana, you guys capped towards the bridge, but it was like these fuckers only won 2 team fights. You know, they just clutched 1 at the end of the first and 1 at the end of the second. Like we were in total control here. I felt it was the same sort of thing there, where it was like I would have had enough confidence to finish the map based on how the defense had went.
I think Crazy Raccoons clutched to get it as far as they did on the attack on Die Fair. I think Falcons had... I mean, maybe it obviously feels different, right? Because I don't know... When it's like a mid... Because you guys can't talk still between rounds, right? It's only between maps. So it feels... I don't know if it's like a player thing, like, oh, we're not... It doesn't feel like we're winning the dive here. Let's switch it. But it's such a hard map to switch it on.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that team just should have... The match just should have been 3-3 for like after the... You know, when it was a 4-2, but it should have been a 3-3. You know, they're just giving that away. I think that they just egregiously threw by putting Malga on Gibraltar attack.
Yeah,
I mean,
some people clutched them, I guess, reasonable.
Some teams just don't want to win, I guess. Sometimes you don't pick Ilios. Sometimes you pick Malga on Gibraltar.
That's the thing about Proper. You know, he does not want to win.
He needs one more underdog comeback. You know, he just needs one more.
I've been saying this, bro. Like he just doesn't want to win. He wants to quit.
I feel I mean,
all the time.
Yeah, I know. I do feel sorry for him that he's always contemplating retirement, but just isn't quite ready to pull the trigger.
It must be so hard to be like the highest paid player in the world and just fucking always, you're on the brink, you know? I must quit.
Yeah.
Must be brutal.
Also, one more thing about the Malga comp is like, there is no fucking chance in hell that you can catch any Western team. Just run it down for 4 minutes on Malga and then just never swap. Like, there has to be like some sort of like fucking like layers to what they were thinking was happening, to be honest, because that was probably the most crazy thing I've ever seen in my life. Just running it down on Malga in a grand final. Just get first help for 4 minutes.
So weird. It's so weird. They're on the ground the whole time too. Like they always went every single fight. They didn't even try and like do like a server take, push them out top or anything like that. They actually just like went on the ground every single fight for 4 minutes.
You know the memes where everyone's like, London on dive, the West on dive. This is Korea on anti-dive. Should we just stand on payload and hope it works out, boys?
On the best dive map in the fucking game.
I saw all the comments were like, why aren't you playing dive in Gibraltar? You have to be such clients. And I'm like, yeah, it's not easy, baby. Only quite a very few can make anti-dive work on Gibraltar, you know?
You need some magic. You need some fucking magic to do that. But Falcons and ENCE, there was no magic. There's no magic.
No magic.
Fucking zero magic.
Should have gone to Ilias.
Yeah.
Because I still feel, because in reality they did loads of things right? They find the best meta. It's actually a meta that's also perfect for them because it's a double flex DPS meta, which gives them such an inherent advantage. Because Proper looked good. I thought Stalker looked insane as well. Everything seems to be lining up, and then I don't know. I guess in theory that's the power of map picks, right? Because Ilios was able to get picks, and then they just lose to the dive.
Yeah, well, I felt like in the winners bracket game, I was a bit surprised that Crazy Raccoon's like first picks weren't Gibraltar as soon as possible. I felt like Gibraltar and Ilios were like the same reason like ENCE's. I feel like in theory it felt like Crazy Raccoons should have been the better dive team, so I would have picked those up so you could force dive as much as possible. But in the grand final, I don't think that's really true at all. Right? Like,
I think historically,
you think that Smurf fielded Chio afraid to do that? Like Proper's complete confidence on main DPS. Stalkers, I think this is like a super even matchup.
Historically, it's been super even as well. Like I think from the Crazy Raccoon point of view, I don't think based on how it's gone, at least in the officials, they think they have dive advantage. I think they think it's quite like a
I don't think they have. I don't think they have dive advantage. They have advantage when the enemy team goes Malga and runs it down on the low ground for 4 minutes straight.
Yeah,
like they didn't even full cap the map.
I mean, I guess. I mean, you're probably right. I feel like with like Crazy Raccoons is when we scrimmed them, they were playing dive all the time, whereas Falcons almost never touched it. So like my feeling was that like if a team is like dedicated to only playing Malga, even if it was close before, in theory, Crazy Raccoons are maybe more like repped on it. But I mean, actually, to be fair, even Ilios was super fucking close, right? Like it was like 2-1, like 99-99. Like it was like Falcons could have won it for sure.
Maybe
Falcons. I can actually blame the Falcons coaches. I reckon that's like a strategic thing that they do everywhere or something. And it's like they should have watched Europe, you know? Like they should have watched, you know, because it's like if SSG is winning, playing Winston into Malga, that's how you know. Not good. Like you shouldn't be picking Malga, you know what I mean? Like if SSG is making the dive work to cause the European rush one-trick teams to collapse, then it's like you shouldn't be like becoming the Korean rush team. Just stick to what you're good at.
Yeah.
That or Smurf just like went off one. You know, like someone on the team decided I feel like playing Malga here. Like have they covered it on Korean Uncoachable? Overwatch University episode 9. My bad.
It's
a unique concept. Yeah,
I think there should be an episode coming out soon. Maybe
I just want to hear someone has to give insight as to why they did that. Like.
Yeah, I don't think they had anyone from. I mean, to be fair, I think I really, really hope that we can get Krusty or Drunkbuck on next week. That would be good. Like, I think now would be if there was ever a time to do it. And Krusty said he might do it after Dallas. So, Krusty, best coach ever. Love to get his insight on everything here.
We never say anything negative about Krusty as well. So he'd belong on this one.
Yeah, he'd be fine here.
I saw some Drunkbuck quotes recently where he was talking about the matchup between the Sigma and the Malga because I was watching your stream and you were talking about like the Sig v Malga stuff, and it's like. They reckon that Sigma's better as well. You know, like they think that Malga is weaker than Sigma in these matchups. You know, like Sigma actually is the counter. It was just like a play problem, an execution problem. And I think that's kind of somewhat fair enough because, you know, watching back your VOD, it looked like you guys did everything wrong in like 50% of the fights. You know, like I remember you were like analyzing it on stream and it was like the very first step that you did. It was like, you know, you went like you clashed close on Sigma and like you just made it easy for the Malga team to close the gap. Like so much of their condition is about like closing the gap and getting in there, and the Sigma team needs to like play this like long range poke battle or whatever, and it just didn't happen. It just
my feeling is that the Sigma can beat Malga on 50% of the maps if it plays well, but I think actually in the other 50%, I think the Malga is like super heavily favored.
I'm sure that it's map dependent. You know, like if the gaps are close, then for sure Malga will be better. You know, like if it's easy to like close the space and then like get a good pin, I think for sure Malga will be better. But Ruins, I think for sure Sigma was.
Yeah, I mean that one was like
Ruins Sigma was really good. You guys are trolling Ruins.
But even then, it was pretty close. But yeah, for sure we could have won it.
Yeah, well, I say you know like you could have won it because it was like 99-99 and you were trolling, so it's like it must be winnable now.
Close 3-0.
It was a fucking close 3-0, baby. They were literally like one change on every map from winning it all.
Because I presume very much in the lead up and the scrim, you played against the Malga comp, you played for Sigma, and it just it's doable. We can do it.
I don't know how your scrim results were, Crimzo, but ours was like our success on the Sigma like trended downwards. Like the first time we scrimmed Falcons, like. And they played their Malga stuff, like we shit on it. It was these guys are trolling, like this comp isn't good. And then the next time we played them, it was a little closer. And then the same, like the more teams we played, it felt like our comp had like more and more problems. We were really trying to figure out what the second DPS pick against is. I feel good about Echo in the end, but like we spent a lot of time trying. It was
a coaching difference. Then you got downloaded. You played them too much. You showed them your hand.
Should have blacklisted them.
Should have colluded.
Should have. Yeah.
No, our scrim results are pretty good. I feel like we always just had like pretty steady success in the Sigma comp, I think. I don't think that there's ever a time like we got like shit on, besides like maybe Raccoons, but I think they shit on us like for not even like in the Malga matchup. They shit on us.
Yeah, it was the same. We would beat their Malga and then they would dive and we would just stand and spawn for a few minutes.
Yeah. No, but like, I think the Sig versus Malga matchup is really interesting. I do think that the Malga comp is better, but I think the Sigma style is like still very winnable. I give it like 60-40 maybe, maybe less to be honest. But it does require like really precise play, and it's hard. It's hard to perform that on stage, I think. And it's like the Malga comp has better ults. They have there's something else. Oh, they have better ults and they have like the opportunity to like, go in whenever they want. So it's just kind of hard to like be able to be the team that like is always trying to like, fucking slingshot themselves and like back up and then go forward. Kind of like what you're saying on your stream pretty much. But I mean, yeah, our scrim results are pretty steady, honestly. I was pretty confident going in, even like against Falcons, the very first match, like the very first like round or two, like I thought like, oh, we can definitely win this. But then like a bunch of like random bullshit happened and we just lost.
We've given a lot of people stick for their map picks, so maybe one more target for stick about map picks. Criticism actually seemed to come your way, Chris, from our Korean comrades about picking Havana.
I actually don't understand why I'm getting criticized for that. I think they're fucking mentally insane. Like, I don't know what, because these Koreans, what? Why is he looking at me like that?
Just wasn't sure what word you were going to say because you could say
insane. There's literally no other word that was on my mind. I think it's the same for Crimzo. If I lose a map, I have to pick Escort. It's 100% fucking mandatory to pick Escort, because if we win that next map and we get Gibraltar on, then it's fucked, right? So I was effectively down to the like Havana or Circuit Royale, and I think both of them are pretty fine for our comp. Like Circuit Royale is maybe slightly better, but the problem is we'd been running Jamie on that map because most teams had been playing some sort of Sigma version, and then it seemed that in the official against Crazy Raccoon, they were just going to play Mauga against us. And then I needed Psycho to be in, but Psycho had been playing Havana. So that was like the decision. I can accept that maybe Circuit Royale was like a slightly better pick, but I think if I pick any other game mode, the series is fucked. And I think I have an opportunity to pick like between one or two maps. And I think Havana isn't that bad for our comp against it. Like I think there's a lot of like long space that can be played. And that was the worst map of the tournament for us, was that Havana. Like we didn't play Overwatch for like 5 minutes.
What do you feel happened there? Because it did feel like maybe the saddest part of the tournament was maybe actually that final game, that final one against Crazy Raccoons, because it felt the most one-sided game you'd had.
I think for us, it was like we were super prepped for Falcons, right? Like we based on our scrims, we thought there was no way Falcons could beat Crazy Raccoons. So we were thinking about Falcons and not just prepped for it, but like mentally prepared for it. We're going to get the revenge against Falcons. Like a lot of those maps are close, we can beat them. And all of our scrims against Crazy Raccoons had not been good, like really, really not been good. So when it turns out it was Crazy Raccoons against us, we were like, because like even if we solved the Mauga, we really didn't have an answer for their dive. It felt like there was really, really no solution that we could do. So I think we went into those first two maps like a little bit defeated. Like we actually had like a real like rallying talk after map 2 and say like, fuck it, I don't want to lose, just like being like depressed and like not giving. Like we really, really fuck it with like we had to like Hattie and everyone had to like bring everybody like back up. And I feel like the attitude we had for map 3, and obviously it was a good map for our comp, was like that was more like it. Like map 3 was super winnable. Like fucking hell, like really, really winnable. But yeah, I feel like those first two maps against Crazy Raccoon, I think mentally it didn't feel like we believed that we could win. And then if you don't believe that you can win, then you 100% won't.
Did you feel like there was any, I guess we can maybe, I feel like one other person, maybe an org I want to put forward for biggest losers, is not the team themselves, but NRG the org maybe. Because they sign a team, they get their American team. They do the big reveal. Hype as fuck reveal, right? Hype as fuck.
Good
I think
reveal.
everyone enjoyed it. I think also no one expected it, so it's super hard sometimes to keep things under the radar and a secret who's going to what team or who's going to what org. But they managed it. They do the super hype reveal, massive reveal, into 2.5 hour delay, which maybe sucks some of the wind out of it, into sent home on day 1, into North America losing the Dallas spots for EWC, and now their qualification for EWC is super, super sketchy. So it feels like, even though I think from a team standpoint, I didn't do that great, right? But they kind of met expectations, I think, still. Like, they were probably happy with the map they got against ENCE. It feels really, I think, a bit rubbish if you're NRG for like, we're back, and we're gone, and we're now not going to the Esports World Cup, potentially.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't really know what the...
I don't know. Okay.
Fuck, everyone's going on.
You go, man.
No,
I talk too much in this
I just don't know what they expected from that signing. Like, it's fucking, like, no hate or whatever, but it's like, it's fucking students of the game, Like, their expectation must have been like, we're gonna PGE is the next super in terms of personalities because he is. He's 100% going to be the biggest personality in Overwatch in the next year. He's way too fucking funny. The more I watch him, the more I think, holy shit, this guy's like a generational talent autist. Like he's way too funny. Like it's insane. Anytime I boot up his stream, I can't close it. Like it's hilarious. But unless they've like managed to secure his rights as a human or something, and like they're doing it for that. It's like I don't know. Unless they actually bought a person with this signing, I don't know what they wanted to get out of it because it's like they've not signed a particularly competitive team in OWCS. You know, like they've signed the team that is hard dogfighting for 3rd/4th place. They would not have made it to the LAN if Citrus could have played their full roster at the previous tournament. I reckon. I think Citrus was better than them. By the time they got to that point in the bracket, I don't think they would have made it to the LAN. Like, Students of the Game was not this like clear-cut 3rd place team. And NA is in fucking mega strife with EWC slots. They didn't know that in advance, but regardless, like I don't think that they were signing this team with expectations of them being like at every event 100%. Because if they were doing that, they're fucking bonkers. Like if they wanted to do that, they probably should have signed the Korean 3rd place team at least so that they can go to EWC. But I don't know. Maybe it's just like some small investment of money. Like they're not expecting a big return. Maybe they literally bought PGE's soul. Like there's lots of different reasons why they could have done it. But it's esports, so I refuse to believe that the reasoning is a financial return.
I guess like if you think about like the words on the street is there's actually almost no EWC unsigned slots left now, right? Like you said the Korean teams, but the rumors are that those Korean teams like FTG and Yeti have been signed for a while, right? Like, that's what everybody says. TSM are obviously signed, like Luminosity have signed. So it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe there is an argument that if Toronto or M8 had won their game and 4 slots went to NA, you'd look at it and you would say, I mean, maybe Students of the Game are like a decent chance of top 4, like not guaranteed, but like a decent chance where they were.
I mean, it's like Chungus has a pretty fighting chance, you know.
I think they're wouldn't have been lost.
I mean, I think that's like a super dogfight now. Maybe that's why Houston, like everyone says Houston is signing Chungus because it's like the same thing. But like, I don't know, like I can kind of like get the reasoning is if you really wanted to get an EWC team, almost not too many left, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Houston actually has to be signing an Overwatch League team. An Overwatch team, right? Like they unblocked me on Twitter and everything. They're 100%.
Are they signing you? Are they investing in OCE? It's you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'd actually be sick if the OS boys could get an Overwatch League franchise to give us some money.
And it was Houston Outlaw.
Yeah, because like there's a pretty high chance we call, you know. So we should get a name under our belt. Actually,
you will. I guarantee if you qualify, you'll get one.
I mean, it's like our team leader, he posted a looking for org thing. I think I should check with him and see if it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston Outlaws. You're gonna your jerseys in the mail. Then, is there anything else we particularly want to highlight? Anything we feel like we've not covered? Any additional cope to get out versus the Koreans? Maybe any particular players we felt over underperformed? I feel like Psycho probably even like obviously maybe the most memorable bit is unfortunately going to be the King's Row. I actually thought he had a great tournament for his first major LAN. Great performance, right?
I mean, I think Psycho's fucking insane. I think
yeah, that guy's really good.
Yeah, I think he played pretty well.
I'm a Psycho head.
And don't point the camera at him, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, does anyone have any, like, what do you guys think? Do you think the West is eternally doomed? Or, like, is there a way for us to catch up to Korea? Like, I feel like the best thing is to roll the right meta, and I think we have a chance. Like, my feeling is if we roll the right meta, we can dogfight them 5-3-2, and if we roll the wrong meta, then we're just going to get fucking shit on.
Yeah. It's also conditional that they simultaneously rolled the wrong meta, I think.
That's it, right? They have to read it wrong.
Yeah, because I thought, like, when Korea was getting clapped out at World Cup, they had just read the meta so wrong, and then like after they read the meta so wrong, like they really like doubled and tripled down on it, you know, like they weren't going for it at all, and they had Sparkle. But it's like Korea's result at that tournament was pretty fucking arse, no? I just think, it's kind of dependent on them simultaneously, like getting the wrong read and it being a bad meta for them too.
Yeah,
like, you're kind of biased towards having the wrong read. To be fair, you know, like if it's a bad meta for you in terms of like what people are good at, you're going to try and find the alternatives, you know, and then people will call that a bad read when they lose.
It's just if it's a bad meta for you, you are somewhat stuffed.
Yeah,
There's
It's
a
like,
few ways
it's
to.
like why didn't Castoris go to Ilios and play an Echo comp? And it's like, we could call it a bad read that he had the worst draft in the history of the world, or maybe he has like a counterpoint that he's like, well, we don't actually have the best roster to win a dive matchup on Ilios, and then it's like, oh well, who constructed the roster? Is there a document for that?
Is it in writing somewhere?
Yeah, surely there's like an off-season document that was constructed, a guideline for coaching. But there's no drafting in the coaching document, so that's probably...
That was added afterwards. That'll be in next year's edition.
Next year, I like the way that you're expanding the scope of the work. I thought it could have been a little off-season thing, post EWC, pre-OWC.
There was annual releases,
building for the future, like a sustainable ecosystem of coaching documents. I'm trying to talk more like an employed person, or someone that like scams people into employing them. So I'm trying to work on these words.
Just trying to use more business orientated language in the hope that someone will hear it and go, this guy knows what he's talking about. He probably has a business degree or something.
We're going to get KPIs for our players, and then it's going to be fucking over. This little nod, Chris, like he's trying to figure out what KPI is. Like, yeah, there you go. You must have a lot of employed friends.
I mean, I got loads of KPIs. I got a few in there.
Oh god, this fucking podcast.
Well, what's also true is all the stuff you were saying about like the right meta is if you end up rolling heroes, like put in Sugar Free on Genji or something, and you're playing these weaker heroes. These are the sort of things that also I feel like get exaggerated at LAN if it's not quite as comfortable, or more things will start going wrong, and then it all snowballs against you, and then you just left not winning a map against any of the Koreans.
Oh well, we'll get it next time.
There's always next tournament.
Roll the better meta in Stockholm, yeah?
Yeah, keep rolling.
The only other thing that's probably worth discussing is obviously the FACEIT implications and what this means for the Esports World Cup. So obviously that means ENCE and SSG, the ticket is booked, which means there's still 3 spots in EMEA. Has he got a bit?
Chris is gone. Oh,
I got my I signed it.
Nice.
What the fuck is that?
That's the ticket. He has to give that on the door to get in.
On the plane, I've given him one of these. And he's like,
they gave us like they're like cardboard like
piss.
printouts that they wanted us to take pictures with.
Unbelievable. It's like they just love like making shit that's going to go in someone's bin eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not in the bin for years, though. Not for years. That'll take a while to clear out.
Got it.
That's fucking sad days for NA though. Like I'll be honest,
right?
I was rooting against NA for this tournament. I know I'm like directly like
that's the opposite of what you want.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what I want, but it's like fucking come on now. Like be so serious. Like I can't be rooting for North America. That's
one thing that we should have talked about is the only benefit for teams like Max's is M80 now actually just like a totally available slot. Like before it was like Toronto and M80 are locked, and then there's like all these teams dogfighting for third. But the word on the street, I think, is Liar, Happy, Pelican, Hawk are all gone from NA.
Just UV,
M80,
just
right?
UV staying, I think. Yeah.
UV and Gate are like rebuilding the ship. So like, are they able to take players from other teams? Like, what the fuck does their new roster look like? Does anyone know?
I
know
think
they have one.
It's Spectre and Bliss.
Yeah, isn't it going to be like Kaluge, Tree, Spectra, Bliss, then UV or something like that?
I think that's right, yeah.
It's still just a really good team, I think. Like,
yeah, I think
it's
fuck, they've done it again.
Honestly, no, Max, you can beat that team for sure, mate. Like, okay, Kaluge, you got Kaluge.
I think that team is like 100% beatable because Kaluge is like, you don't even have to explain it. It's Kaluge is a retirement home tank. Both of the Koreans are on high ping instead of on LAN.
They have no scrim time together. You got that.
There's reasons. We lost to Nero yesterday though, so like there's work to be done.
Yeah, but Nero's not going to be in anymore. This is an advantage again. Nero is off the server.
Actually, yeah, no,
Nero's back to the bench.
Spectra, I'd take Nero any day of the week. Actually, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think most people would be happy to see the changes that M80 as a competitor going up against M80. I feel like you're just seeing a lot of people that are like either worse condition, like weaker DPS players,
worse ping.
I think Bliss is a huge upgrade, but they're just downgrading elsewhere. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. M80, like the thing is, when M80 got their Koreans in North America, they immediately became like Toronto tier unbeatable. You know, like you just thought like, okay, this is just not going to happen anymore. But before then, that was a team that you could always have a dogfight with. Like you'll always have a dogfight with. And I think now, like you're always having a dogfight with that roster. But it's like, I mean, I think Tree is really, really good. So he's solid. But you know, like, is Spectre that guy? Is Hyping Spectre the guy that's going to fucking dominate you? Especially after I think he's been like not really competing for the past 6 months because he's been like, he didn't make it into the Korean circuit. And it's crazy how quickly like an absence of competition will cause someone to wash up if they're not really just like going hard all the time.
He's just worse than Pelican as well, right? I don't mean that.
Yeah,
like Spectre is still a good player, but he's just a worse version of Pelican.
Just like a very, very budget version of him, you know? Like, I think that's a team that can lose 100%.
Don't they also have Checkmate on that roster? Or am I crazy?
I've seen that on the website, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't understand how they're able to put this roster together, you know? Like, I was told that they're able to make everyone is able to make 2 roster changes after the Swiss stage
round robin
before the playoffs or something like that. Is that what it is? Is that how they're doing this?
Well, I looked up the rules the other day because I was like, what's going on with this roster lock? Because M80 seem to just be no roster lock effects for him. Whatever's happening with the roster lock, M80's isn't. And then the roster lock seemed to imply it was May the 26th. But I was like, I feel like these changes have definitely happened since, so I don't really know what the rules are.
I think there's something going on there. There's something going on there because like it was like May 26th. You're right, but then it's just. Actually, no, it was May 20th. There was a graphic that had like both of the locks, and like for the champion for our league, the top league, it was actually May 20th. But then that's like a kappa lock because you can make further changes later down the line. So they've just added Bliss and Spectre to their roster like really recently, and then they're going to add them to the actual champions roster or whatever the league is called.
I don't know. I don't know if they get like a listen, our players are fucking retiring. We have no roster exception.
That's not a fair exception though. You can't undo roster locks because you can't keep your team together.
I mean, but maybe that's
look at Twisted Minds, right?
I don't think that's what's happening though. Like I'm pretty sure that this is something that everyone is able to capitalize on. It's just they're the only team that does it. And it's like it looks doubly fucked because they already had Tree and Collusion on their roster in advance, you know? Like they pre-fired that. They knew that.
I think they were before the roster lock knows too.
Yeah, exactly. Like those two were on there ages ago.
Just fine.
They haven't had to. Yeah. But it looks like 4 changes, even though it's only 2.
Oh, I see what you mean. So maybe they are actually just within the rules on a technicality.
They're using the rule to change 2 people, but even though they're changing 4 because 2 of them were already on the team.
But officially, they're just changing 2 starters essentially. So they're just rotating their big old squad. I see.
Gate is so good at cheating.
They're also fucked after EWC too, no? Because they lose their circuit points or whatever.
Yeah, are those carrying through all the way through to the end of the year? Gate was trying to tell me.
Yeah,
he was trying to tell me that shit was going to reset, but it's going to stay the same.
But in the rules, it's that they keep.
They keep meaning more and more. So it's like
I think 3 equals 2, right? As in stage 3 is the same points as stage 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Is 4 going to be worth a fuck ton then?
4 is worth a lot.
Yeah, 4 is the big dog one.
I can fact check that. So 500 circuit points up for grabs for first again for stage 3. And then once we get to stage 4, 750 for first place.
Damn.
Jeez.
The big Stockholm Major.
And then it's all going to come down to the fact that Luke Minnow didn't get his points from the first tournament because I didn't play him in the group.
Remember when Luke didn't play in March Hunter? That was the mistake you made this year.
Yeah. And no other mistakes.
Everything else, perfect.
Yeah, no. Like actual
perfect season. Minus a couple of Luke maps in March. It can happen. So it's a real dogfight, right? Like M80, FMCL, LG, maybe even Citrus Nation if they can get their act together. I probably forgot someone. TSM, Shikigami, maybe the real outside shot. But then the good news for EMEA on the flip side is because they've gained 2 spots. Ataraxia, Twisted Minds, and Peps. I mean, I think they were all pretty happy when they saw ENCE beat Toronto because now that top 5 seems almost locked. But I was also thinking, actually, for some of these lower teams, like if you're a quick esports, right? all you have to do is upset Peps in one game,
Like, I think
and you
that
might
Pep
go to the
spot's
Esports World Cup.
Really, really stealable.
Whereas
There's
if you're
like
like,
so much, the lights are so bright for Peps in that series, right? Because all of a sudden, like Peps to fucking LAN is fucking crazy. You know?
well, for all of them, right? Because all it takes is one upset in that double elim playoffs and FACEIT, and you're fucked. Like same Twisted Minds, Ataraxia. What if just one thing goes wrong? You compare that to NA. If you're like Pirates in pajamas and you get 8th spot, you're like, great. Now to get the Esports World Cup, all we need to do is finish 3rd. We just need to beat 5 or 6 of the best teams in the region, and we'll get the World Cup spot. But in EMEA, it's actually a dogfight now.
No, I think so. So I think that I mean, I was getting messages from like fucking the Ataraxia boys, like, thank you so much, you know.
Quartz was in the chat, like, can you play easy for ENCE, please?
Yeah.
The way that the bracket is shaping up as well, it looks like TM and Peps might be the first match, and then the winner of that plays SSG as
It'll
well.
be 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a crazy bracket, I think, for playoffs. Lots of things can happen. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Damn, wait. Oh no, we have Ataraxia. Never mind. Fucking hate that team.
Yeah. Don't draft Rialto, Crimzo. Ban Rialto. Ban Busan.
God.
You got that?
I got that.
Don't
I'll
do
figure it out.
You got that shit.
I'll make sure to stay away
And
from
even
Lilios.
if you do fuck it, you're already qualified, but even if you fuck up the draft, who cares, you know?
Maybe Ataraxia is the answer to the Korean teams. Fuck it, dude. Like, just put some random team that just plays like double flex or some random shit. They can win. I
mean, they're a really annoying team to play, especially at LAN. Like, I think they'll be better than people expect if they keep their style up. Obviously, depending on like hero bans and stuff.
Then last pre-quiz tangent is with that esports or with the FACEIT thing. Obviously, because you guys have already qualified, there's this weird thing where 3rd place finish in FACEIT gets 0 prize money, but they get an esports World Cup spot, which is obviously seems a reasonable trade, right? We don't get the money, but we'll get the money because we get to go to the esports World Cup. But if one of you 3 get that spot, have you just been scammed?
I guess so. I mean, we've tried to talk to.
I think.
Yeah, we're talking to the admins to see if they can like figure it out, because it seems pretty fucking stupid, obviously.
Because then it means if you were in a 3rd, 4th, you would be. It's better to throw and come 4th and 3rd for you guys.
Exactly. So hopefully they change it. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really fucking Mickey Mouse. I think like just going for 4th. I guess if you're in the 3rd, 4th spot, pretty stupid.
All right, then. Are we ready to quiz?
I'm ready.
Quiz.
Yeah. Okay. Another new quiz format, guys. Just when you thought there wasn't another new quiz format, he's done it again.
I was just thinking that.
We invented one in the podcast as well. Feels like there's loads of options.
All right, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read career path, okay? So the team that a player started on, they went to in that line. And you have to guess who the player is. I've got 5 of these. So we're just going to do it where the first person to shout it out gets the answer. So you guys have got to be like quick on the draw. If you guess once, you're fucking locked out. So you're not going to get it again, okay? So make sure you guess at the right time. Do you kind of get what I'm going for here?
I didn't listen to a word. I'm going to get cooked out of this.
All right. I'm going to give you a list of teams that a player played for in in chronological order, and you have to guess who the player is, okay?
Yeah, cool. Got it. Yep.
Okay. So lock in, okay, guys?
What's the timeline like? Like, are we talking pre-owl, owl?
Bit of both.
Find out,
bit of both.
All right.
Bit of both.
Anyone
There's
in the
a few
history
of these
of the
players
world
that played for like outrageous cummy teams. I just thought left them off. Any team that I recognized, I'm going to have on the list. Okay.
All right.
Only Overwatch League teams, then.
Oh, yeah. I played for LW Red, Philadelphia Fusion, Guangzhou Charge, New York, Philadelphia Fusion, Toronto.
Mano.
Wrong. That is right.
Who was it? Sorry.
Hopper.
Okay.
And yeah, if you jump in before I finish, that's allowed too. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got to gamble it.
I'm way too fucking stupid to jump in like that. That's crazy.
Okay, you kind of feeling the format now? Okay. I played for Young and Beautiful, Samsung Morning Stars, XL2, Atlanta Rain, LA.
Kai.
Yeah, it's
Got
Kai.
it again.
Jesus.
Again. I think LA Valiant should be in there somewhere. No.
Yeah, LA Valiant should have been there before Atlanta
Before
Rain.
Rain.
Whatever,
Classic.
bro. Go Quizmaster. He played on
Okay.
Yav. Jeez. Like XL2 was the freebie though. Like XL2 into Atlanta Rain. It's like it's got to be him.
Yeah. Okay. I played for Flash Lux, Meta Athena, Toronto Academy, Guangzhou Charge, LA Gladiators. Who'd you say?
True.
Fucking Hunter's
Fuck, I was about to say that.
This one actually. Yeah, I feel like you're just picking my players. Like I know all these guys.
You're just picking all Hunter's guys, dude. Like,
Anyone enter hasn't directly
bullshit.
worked with.
I don't know Hopper at all, so that's not entirely true.
Okay,
And sure, everyone should know because as soon as you said the Toronto Academy, you should be thinking about like who's an iconic player that was on Toronto Academy. Oh, it's the guy that played Widow on Junkertown.
Okay.
fuck that guy.
Maybe that's just how my shoot memory works.
Yeah.
Okay. I played for Mouse Esports, Movie Star Riders, Philadelphia Fusion, Guangzhou Charge, and Paris
Braggy.
Eternal. No.
I'm wrong. The Paris Eternal. I said it like Paris Eternal makes it wrong.
Is it?
Paris Eternal.
Oh wait,
Is
I
it
think I know. I
Kib?
think no, I know who it is. Oh,
I
wait.
don't think Kib went there.
What did you say, Crimzo?
I said Kib.
Nope.
Can you say them again? Say the team
Of course you
again,
can, mate.
'cause,
You're
like,
the only one left in. We can do
I
what we
gotta hear it
want.
again. I gotta hear it again.
Mouse Esports, Movie Star Riders, Philadelphia Fusion, Guangzhou Charge, Paris Eternal.
Philly, Guangzhou.
Oh, I know who it is. I think.
Is that not Kib?
It's like-
Holy shit.
No, because it's not Kiv, and
wait,
it's
no.
like it's not Shockwave. But like, who the fuck went to Guangzhou and Paris? I'm like a totally blank on who this is. Just kill the round. Just kill the round. Give the
Alright.
point to nobody.
Is it Fraggy? No, it can't
No,
be
it
Fraggy.
Shadowbird.
Does
or
anyone know
something?
it?
Shadowbird.
Huh? No, not
Shadowbird didn't go to
Shadowbird.
Guangzhou though.
Who the fuck was on Guangzhou?
Wow.
That
What?
Guangzhou.
Who
Who was it? It
one?
was,
It was like the
was
Western slave team, you know, like there
was
was the
it
one where they were
Snillo or
getting
something?
tortured.
Not Snello.
it was like Fraggy, Kib, and somebody. Neptuno.
Neptuno.
Oh
Yeah,
god,
of
the
course,
bloodthirsty
of course.
support.
The guy was angry. Like, a really angry person.
All right, okay. Toronto Academy, Charge, Shock, Atlanta,
Oh, it's Nero.
retired.
Nero.
What did you did
Who said
Crimzo
it
say it
first?
first?
We both said it
Who
pretty.
said it?
I think
Yeah.
Crimzo said it first, and obviously
I reckon I said it first on my screen, blaming ping, Australian ping disadvantage.
fucking ping.
But at the end of
I'll
the
Why
day,
is this
this one.
podcast
at
not
the end of the day, even
land?
if you get the point, I'm certain I won this
Yeah,
fucking
I mean,
quiz.
you
So,
did.
have your
Sure you
point,
did.
Chris. Like,
Thank you.
All
I'm gonna
right.
take that fucking
All
point.
right, okay. I've got one more then, okay? Let me finish this one because it's funny, okay? So if you get it,
Okay.
hold it. Okay, I played
funny.
for NC Foxes, Conbox, Fuel, Gladiators, Mayhem, LFT, 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 and LFT.
Oh man, I wonder who it is.
he's also LFJ sometimes, is my understanding. But, you know.
Maybe
That
I'm
would have been the
as well.
tiebreaker if we got there. Everyone knows who it is.
You want
Okay.
to take it away, mate? Get yourself a point.
Did I not give a Neptuno one technically? I feel like I got the Neptuno one, but it's
Yeah.
OG.
No.
You got like a invalid
yeah.
point.
Legend of the scene. So that was the quiz. New format.
That was an excellent form.
That was I like that one. That was good.
Yeah, no.
There's probably a lot of legs in it
lost.
as well, right? There's loads of players.
Yeah, I thought so too. So I saw them do the quiz on the establishment on the broadcast, and I thought, well, I guess I'm stepping my fucking game up because I'm not letting these guys out quiz me with all of their researchers and paid assistants and stuff. They still do
You
it
guys
better.
paid assistance.
They're paying people to
Was
do the quiz.
was it Soy that used ChatGPT to get the answer to the
The wrong answer.
Paid assistance. She pays an assistant $22 a month to get the answers.
We got secret quiz masters working in the back.
And most people that watch
All right.
Uncoachable don't even know what the fucking quiz is. I've got fucking Rocket on the stream saying he's an uncoachable head, and then saying I don't know what the quiz is. Like,
Yeah, but that's a sign. That's a good
Unbelievable.
sign because people who don't even watch it, but they just want to be associated with it as well. Anyway, even
I
without
don't
being
know, it's
invested,
just
like-
they're
Yeah,
just
you're
trying
like-
it's
to
just like
It's a cool
establishment casted level of fucking nonsense.
using it
you
for
know? They're like-
clout. Using it for clout.
Exactly right.
All right. Week of the clients.
Week of the
Client
clients. All right. Has anyone got any to jump in with?
There's
Any
a
client?
couple.
Anything happened at Dallas that was, what the fuck is wrong with this person? What are they doing?
There's a couple.
Oh,
that we've already kind of talked
I've
about.
got, okay, I've got a good one.
Yep.
Me.
What'd you
My
do?
marriage has hit a low point. I called my wife a client yesterday for the first time. I said, you're a fucking, I didn't say fucking, I said, you're a client. And then she didn't really know what it meant. And I explained it. And now she calls me a client. So that's where my marriage has got to now. So I really felt like this was like a low moment of separating, you know, work life and love life. So I thought I'd let everyone know that my wife now calls me a client.
You are a client.
My missus sometimes comes back if she's had a tough day at work. She would go, I'm fucking boomed today. I'll be like, it's good. Yeah. Fucking boomed from work today. I was like, yeah, that's fair. I actually understand exactly what you mean.
All right.
Who's
I
the
wanted
biggest
to
client?
wait,
though?
you guys go if you got one, because I need to dig out a tweet, and it's unbelievable how much this person tweets. It's almost a mental illness.
I haven't argued with anyone on Reddit or Twitter this week, so I don't really have anyone in mind.
I've got one
Yeah.
actually. I've
Go
got Avril, Establishment Avril, for trying to take. I don't know if you saw this. He tried to take a dig at the TF2 players. So TF2 players have started negatively reviewing Team Fortress 2 in an attempt. It's like a fixed TF2 campaign to trying to get Valve to finally fix the problem where there's a billion bots in every Valve server, right? A real problem that makes the game less playable, and most people have to use privately funded servers to get around this. So Avril's tweet was very much like, they all did, because if you remember, Overwatch was also very negatively reviewed when it was released on Steam. So we tried to pin this on all the TF2 players and say, well, they're now so bored of it, they're now downvoting and negatively reviewing their own game. But I feel like these were two completely different things, and that actually most of the gaming community kind of were hating on Overwatch at the time for like the cancellation of the content, right? The cancellation of the PvE. I think longtime TF2 friend Kurt, he's the producer of the Valorant Plat Chat, kind of sums it up. Now, the Overwatch 2 review bombing was the entire gaming community sort of dumping on Overwatch, and then this is just the TF2 community trying to get Valve to take notice. So it felt like really unnecessary shot from Avril, just trying to get some free publicity or some free wins and not really understanding the situation. So, client.
Reasonable client take.
Good nominee. Good nominee.
Yeah, they just have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah, whenever I see tweets like this, it always just feels like it's for. I just want I want people to like my post. I want to feel like I get a free win or something.
Yeah, I've thought of a nominee. I don't know if it's what you were digging through, but it's that SK tweet about like.
It wasn't, but that's a good shout for sure.
Yeah, the right wing strategies, like basically saying that like anyone who thinks who is tweeting about how 6v6 was better is like a right-wing shill or something. Like you got to find the tweet. They've deleted it.
Did she delete it? Wait, I think I know where it is.
Yeah, it won't be hard to find. You just go on like Overwatch TMZ and look for the week or something, because it was just the most egregious thing ever.
This one, right?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. No, that's not. That's the reply. That's not the original tweet.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, okay. Get your shit together, man. I'll find it for you.
You're really the social media expert of the group, Hunter. We rely on you for all these sources.
Zooms, you know?
These young guns.
There you go. Put it in production.
This guy tweets an outrageous amount. I've been scrolling for 5 minutes and I'm like a week
Whose tweets are you looking at, mate?
Fucking Marky Stores because of his fucking mouth.
Oh my god! No, I remember this. The Malthus shit. Yeah, just to finish SK's Client of the Week nomination. The entire 6v6 movement being spearheaded by Andrew Tate Parrots is all the information you need to know that this is a waste of time. Even the strategies they use are taken straight from right-wing playbooks, the big entity that's paying off shills. We're not afraid to tell you the truth. It's like Jay Karu is the biggest 6v6 advocate that I know, and he's just some random gay schizo on Twitter. It's like the actual complete opposite of an Andrew Tate parrot. Like, I don't understand.
Have you
how,
seen
like,
JK's timeline? It does not look like Andrew Tate's timeline at all. They're two very different people.
It's actually unbelievable. And it's like, I know Hawk is like a mega 6v6 advocate, and it's like, I think Hawk is about as far away from Andrew Tate as one could possibly get. I think there's many figures on either side of the argument from all ends of the political and social view spectrum. But
is it possible they're unrelated by any chance?
And just like to go in the opposite direction, I actually do kind of low key believe this shill stuff. Like, if I don't know if it was you saying it, Chrissy, where it's like if you look at enough of Jay Curry's tweets for long enough, you actually start to believe that schizo shit. Because it's like, you look at what happened to X, right? Where it's like he gives all the dissenting opinions where he's like, this is wrong. We create this platform, but he creates this platform where we talk negatively about the product, and look at what you get. No drops. But if you're Flats, just fucking, I see TikToks clowning on Flats for being for being like a meme influencer. Like, I'll link the TikTok. We can use it as the outro. It's fucking gold. But if you just say good shit about Blizzard all the time, if you say that all of their changes are great, aka 6v6 to 5v5 is a huge example of that, then good things will come to you from the hands that provide from above. But if you do the Commander X approach of pointing out issues, have fun with your no drops, buddy. Good fucking luck with your source of income.
Insane, actually, really insane.
You know what I got as well? I was asking about replays. I won't disclose because the person didn't want to get in trouble, and they didn't give me anything, to be fair, but I was asking about OPR and replay access, and Blizzard said no. So then I was seeing if I could have a workaround. And then I asked someone, like, I could find a way through, maybe. Could you just share the codes? Because obviously, any of this. And they were like, I cannot share the codes. This goes all the way to the top. And it was the first, I was actually quite excited. Because at no point in my life have I had a genuine interaction where people are being legitimate, where someone has said, this goes all the way to the top. And for a second, I was like, I'm in like some kind of like spy thriller here, like I'm behind enemy lines. How deep does it go? Sean Miller, deeper, higher? How far can it go? So it goes all the way to the top.
It's just all along,
I mean, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. I think Jay Carter actually is unironically onto something. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's silenced soon. Do you know what I mean?
You'd know as well, because if he doesn't tweet for 5 minutes, he's been silenced.
Yeah, I mean, the same as fucking my next nomination, Marky Sauce. So there was an old, this is at the Toronto LAN. Marky Sauce, obviously big tough guy, said that he wants to beat up Malfoy. I'm not I guess because Malfoy was out making a side hustle. And by the way, the rumors on the street is this side hustle from Malfoy is unbelievably successful. Like, actually by far, like the richest people in Overwatch are the people who got in this. That's the word on the street. Like, it's actually doing so well. But Marky Sauce says, yeah, I'm gonna beat you up. And then Malfoy, now this is the important thing. Malfoy said, send location, sorry I missed you. I saw this week, I don't know if Marky Sauce has just buried it, deleted it, or if he just tweets too much and I actually cannot find this tweet. But he did a tweet saying, oh, I can't believe Malfoy was rattled by Marky Sauce in relation to this tweet. And it's like, how have you gone so delusional that you think that he was rattled by this tweet? I thought this was an unbelievable classic. I actually can't find it. I really, really tried.
You're so shit at using Twitter. It's actually insane.
Have you found it?
At Marky Sauce OW and the word rattled into your search bar, you fucking moron. Jesus Christ.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Wait, did he send this?
Unbelievable. You've got this like vivid memory of the quote and you can't use the search functionality. Like, you're the client.
I already nominated myself for Client of the Week, so I can.
He's strengthening his case.
Why did he tweet this on the 7 months after the fact? Like, what happened?
Yeah, this is it. This
7
is
months
actually
on.
fucking insane.
He's fucking rattled. I got him. I'm in his head.
Rattled by Marky Sauce, who makes 4,000 posts a day by the looks of it. Like, there was an incredible amount of tweets per hour. Yeah, I think Malfoy was fucking rattled.
God, these people do tweet a lot.
It's dude, I was actually shocked when I was scrolling down. I didn't even get to the 26th of May. I mean, I was searching for Maffle in his tweets. I was scrolling. I mean, you're right. I should have used the search function. I didn't know it existed. Sorry.
Oh, we're learning.
And then Seems as you're up to date with the kids, aren't they? Can you explain the Houston Outlaws situation to me? Because I see everybody demanding they apologize, like they've done something wrong, but I don't understand what was like immoral about
I
their
can give you a
actions.
quick little law check here. So after the Overwatch League, that Lord Denzo bloke, the man with the Masters in Business Administration, that is a master of, just like turning non-profitable businesses into even less profitable businesses. He came along and he like basically rebranded the social media so that they tried to be like an industry plant kind of like content creator house type thing, just like total garbage, like something that will never ever get traction because it's like completely inauthentic and it doesn't have a single person that anyone watches. It's just like a bunch of random kick streamers and shit. Like it was rubbish. But in that pivot, all the Overwatch fans were like, this is super inauthentic. Why is the Overwatch content garbage? Why are you not doing showcases of your Overwatch players? It was like even during the Overwatch League playoffs, it's like they weren't putting out content related to the team at the event. They were promoting Lord Denzo's content on the timeline. It was like videos of him playing Ana in gold, and they're posting that while Houston is playing. Like their social media direction with Lord Denzo at the top was just complete garbage. So they really like bad faith from there, from the fact that they were just killing their socials. And then once they actually exited Overwatch League, Lord Denzo started, having more impact on it, tweeting about like how like overly sensitive Overwatch fans and stuff like that, and how Overwatch is full of pussies and shit like that. Just like tweeting really, really negative stuff about literally 100% of the accounts following, like it's an Overwatch League franchise. So you're not just going to magically pivot to gamers that hate Overwatch. It's like they're following an Overwatch League account. It's like if they're following that, they probably like Overwatch. So they alienated 100% of their fans. A bunch of people replied to all their tweets and they just blocked everyone eventually, It was like they did a bunch of negative shit. They started promoting all their fucking gaming house garbage, and they just blocked anyone that said negative stuff in their replies. Big up Lord Denzo, and post another picture of your fucking NBA, mate. Like unbelievable.
It's funny too because they had like their own. They tried to like do their own brand shit, and then that just didn't work. So they just like took over the whole like Outlaws account. But initially they were called like Juggernaut or something, and then it got zero traction. So they just
Juggernaut Houston, Texas.
So they just completely just took over the Outlaws, and then it just kind of went all downhill from there.
Yeah. I think the one thing about that Lord Denzo guy, I wish he could be nominated for like a retroactive. I wonder if he's still the head of it. Actually, let's see if he's still the guy behind this. I'm blocked, so I
probably
will never know.
not.
I just checked. It appears I'm blocked.
I don't think I'm blocked. I didn't even know this guy was.
Lord Denzo.
I got him.
Yeah,
his
header is actually his header is living rent free. So he's actually right there.
Yeah.
Now that I've checked when he's come as a topic of discussion because Outlaws returns, he is.
The word on the street is Hot Boy Summer has started. That's the word on the street.
Hot boys. It's White Boy Summer, bro. Or did he say Hot Boy Summer? Because it would make sense for him to. He's probably he's not white, so yeah, he's probably saying Hot Boy Summer. That makes sense.
And he did get 4 likes, so he's probably going viral right now.
That did numbers actually. That does look like a social media expert is someone that gets like fucking less traction on Twitter than someone wiping their ass. But, it is what it is. I just love the appeal, like the constant appeal to education in a situation that has very little to do with education. Like your job is to scale a brand on social media, and you will post pictures of your Masters in Business Administration. It's like, does that have anything to do with your social media growth? Like, does it have anything to do with what's going on here? Because I feel like the two things are super unrelated. It would be like if I were to lose a match in Overwatch and then post a fucking picture of my degree from pharmaceutical shit. It's like, what does one have to do with the other? An appeal to education only works if it's like on the topic. If I'm arguing with someone about something that I know, then maybe I can show it. But NBA driving a Twitter account into the ground, are these two things like? Yeah.
Well, maybe he was trying to explain. It's like, I'm not qualified in this at all. See, I'm qualified in business, so no wonder it went tits up.
Yeah. No wonder I'm driving this business into the ground. Well.
Wait.
At the end of the day, we are all living rent-free. He's the one living rent-free, actually. That's on me.
He is.
I've got actually another one. This one's actually retro. Not to just keep
That's
this section.
I
was thinking, I was like, but I actually forgot to do it last week, so maybe that's part of the problem. So, not to inflate or inflame my ongoing rivalry and beef with ESL FACEIT Group any further, but The other
Bro, you gotta
week,
stop that. You're never gonna get drops if you keep yapping. Like, cut this fucking segment.
Just dig in the grave.
What we'll do is we'll send it to our producer, and depending on what they reply to me, is we'll in or out it. But so this, to be fair, I don't think it wasn't them as much. It was actually an unknown client. There's an anonymous client behind this. So I was streaming one of the FACEIT games, as I often do, and I run delay.
The anonymous client. Oh god.
So with these, you have to do a 3-minute delay. So the rules are, if you're a co-streamer like me, at least for now, you have to do a 3-minute delay, and if you're a player, you have to do a 2-minute delay. So I thought, that's a bit rubbish. I'll just do a 2-minute delay. So I was doing a 2-minute delay, and then I get a message from. Let me find it. I get a message from. I forget their exact job title, but one of the not one of the normal people you speak to if you speak to FACEIT, like the person above it who's obviously been
Like all the way to the top.
All the way
I'm not saying it goes all the way to the top. I wouldn't, mate, but it's possible it's starting to creep towards the top. We're going up the hierarchy here. We are going up the hierarchy here for sure. So I get a message saying they've received a report actually that I wasn't using delay. And a telling off basically that, well, you need to use delay, it's for a thing. And I said to them, well, I'm using a 2-minute delay instead of 3-minute delay. Hands up. Here's why. I think, but why is it different for players and co-streams? It doesn't make any sense, right? I presume it's just like an oversight in the rules. And if you go back and check the VOD, I'm sure you can figure out the times. You can also see me on stream apologizing to the viewers that I can't really interact with chat because we're on delay. Why would I do that if I was scamming the situation? So I explained
So role playing as a streamer with a delay, like unbelievable.
Yeah. Just reading something and then just like setting my watch, like I'll respond to this in 2 minutes and they'll know I'm on delay. I've tricked him again. So to be fair, to FACEIT, I explained, look, happy to share my VODs, because obviously my VOD is subscriber only, so I could have scammed a subscriber out of it. But I was like, how do you share the VOD? It was just for 2 minutes. And they said, oh, okay. We didn't know that. We were informed you were using no delay. So I said, well, here's what I think about the rules. And that day, they changed the rules so it was 2 minutes for everyone. So they listened to the feedback, changed the rule immediately, and then they apologized quite, I wouldn't say profusely, but they apologized properly for, oh, sorry. Yeah, we got the wrong information. But obviously what this means is they got the wrong information, which means somebody, either through incompetence or malice, reported me to FACEIT for not using a delay on one of the streams. So I don't know who it is, so that's why they're anonymous. They've not made themselves known or made the rivalry public, at least. But
whoever it is, we're coming for you.
Yeah. Someone out there is coming for you, man. Like, you got some ops that's like some secret ops that they're just gonna like stop you from doing anything.
So I don't know what
could have been Sean.
I don't know what I've done, but somebody seems to be riling up a beef between me and FACEIT, and I guess maybe it's working, right? Maybe I am in a heated rivalry. Maybe I didn't stream enough games for him.
So are we not going to reveal who this anonymous person is? Because I think that's the most client part of it all.
Wait, I actually don't know who it is. There's a theory, but it's like also
it's the person that wrote in the general channel 5 minutes before you got a message saying, I would like to anonymously report something.
So that is the circumstantial evidence, but unlike them who will just report me to FACEIT with zero evidence,
why do you jump to conclusions, or at least call them a client, or at least it doesn't even matter what their name is.
I have to look it up.
The nature of the complaint is funny. Like that they wrote in the public channel, I would like to privately report something. And
there was a 40-minute gap. It was a 40-minute gap between me getting a DM and that message. I have some private feedback I'd like to share. 40 minutes later, I get a DM. Oh, I've not spoken to the manager of FACEIT before, and this must be good. Oh, it's bad news. So, yeah. And maybe this will give it away. So, actually, no, it's fine. But yeah, it's all...
no balls.
Well, no, it's all... we've experienced being labelled with baseless accusations before on this podcast, right? By people not informed.
Let's leave them unnamed. Who cares? It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just know that there was another client nomination this week, and it was a good one. This was a fucking competitive week for client of the week.
It was. Who even wins?
Fuck, it's actually I don't know.
Should we give it to SK to get the most interactions out of the situation?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I think I think that's not the move. I think we need to like
Right, let's give it
have
to
a new
Marky
standard.
I think
Give it to
J3's
Marky Sauce.
Actually, Marky
Thank you.
Sauce
Just
actually.
Unless we go to LAN, he can't hurt us. He might spark us up a little bit, but
I don't want to get rattled.
I'm excited to find out in 6 to 7 months how rattled we all were by this.
those uncoachable guys are rattled by my presence.
Yeah. It's going to be a screenshot of this fucking podcast. It's going to be like, these guys got rattled or some shit like that.
Major rattled energy.
Oh. All right.
Fork? Oh, rank the guest.
Rank for guest. All right. So let me do the thing.
All right, the question was it better or worse than the last Crimzo episode?
It's not possible to be better because we talked about new stuff. We talked about old Overwatch League stuff in the old one, so it's not possible to be better.
Like this episode's kind of weird though too, just because it's like much
It's like a
less
special
about.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dallas special.
I don't even know.
All right, 6th.
I was going to go, I was thinking maybe
Is it
between
lower?
McGravy and 9K. One of the sides of McGravy.
Yeah, I think it has to be an episode, like below an episode that was juicy, you know?
Okay.
Fuck, like, how is that McGravy one episode 7? Like, we're 20 deep. Like, what's below the
No,
wall of
I'm
secret?
telling you, but this is what I think. Every single time we do rank the guest, here's what happens. I'll come in and I'll say something like, this is pretty like low down. And then you little fucking bum lickers will be like, no, this was good. And you've just inflated the rankings to the point where there's no honesty anymore. That's what I think.
I think it's not a dishonesty issue. I think it's the fact that the rankings stop at 11. I think we need to show the whole board because I'm too dumb to like think that there's actually like a whole nother,
Like the Casaurus episode was not 13th. Like Casaurus episode was better than half of these.
Same with Astro,
sure.
actually.
Yeah. Casaurus is Dutch, bro. Yes, it was 13th.
This is the inflation.
I did forget to factor in he was Dutch. You're right.
This is economics 101. To uninflate the inflation, the deflation, you just need to bury one of them somewhere at the bottom.
You don't want deflation. Deflation is even worse than inflation, bro.
No, we need to deflate because it's too inflated. You need to bring it down. You just
need to slow the inflation. Like if you go into deflation,
that's it. So we just how do you slow the inflation? Just deflate it a little bit, and then it's okay.
No, deflation's when it goes negative.
Yeah, just for a little bit though. So just bury this one, put this one somewhere low.
This guy thought he could run a utopia.
This guy wants to set our currency on fire.
Just for a little bit, it makes sense. Oh, it's inflated too much. Let's deflate it a little bit.
He thinks he's going to run a utopia. If Jake was here with his economics 101 from high school, he would be fucking killing you right now.
Listen, you do 6 months of deflation and then start inflating it again, and then we're good, no?
I don't think that's not how it works. You can't just, it's not a switch just up and...
You've literally never made a balloon before.
I was about to say, you're just thinking about balloons too much.
Yeah, okay, you inflate a balloon, there's too much air in this, what do? Well, let's just blow more air in slowly. No, you take air out.
I think
what are we talking about?
Hydron. That's where I'm at.
You are,
economic principles, Crimzo, try to keep up, mate. Like,
all right. What did you say? Sorry, above Avril?
No, I said above Seeker, below Hydron. But Hydron wasn't actually that good, so maybe above Hydron.
Inflated, but
yeah, keep it up.
All right.
Oh, it's
We're slowing the inflation. You see, he's basically at the bottom now. Like, you can't even drag down there. Like, that's how fucked these rankings are. We can't even get into that zone.
There's no access in this part of the economy. They're just locked behind. They're locked in the depths. All right.
Great job.
Done other things. Spoke about Dallas. Good LAN.
Everyone tweeted Krusty saying, come on, Uncoachable. Use a bit of peer pressure and we can get him on, okay?
Yeah, no. If you're an Uncoachable fan, beg him publicly.
Beg him.
Maybe in private too. If you can
Offer
find Discords that you're mutual with him, ping him about it. Send him DMs.
He said
fans want to see it.
If he gets 100 DMs, he'll come on. So make sure to DM him multiple times.
I heard he said 500. So
he said 500. He's raised it.
Yeah.
All right.
And duplicate DMs do count, guys. So don't be afraid to message him more than once.
Don't forget, once you know his Discord tag, you can make multiple accounts and message him from those multiple accounts to boost the numbers.
Yeah, this might throw you out because his Discord tag is.
Well, we really fucking.
He's now not coming.
All right. Good night.
Jesus.
Good night.